Hey everybody, future editor David here. I had a little technical issue with the audio files and had to do some reconstruction of the episode, but it all worked out in the end. A couple of notes. If you find any glitches, let me know and I'll try to fix them, but I think I got everything smoothed out. The one other thing that I can't fix though is you'll hear at the end of the podcast, Aisha and I slapping each other on the back for having recorded a episode that was under 3 hours. Of course, because of the technical issues, there were 10 minutes of recording that weren't accounted for on our running recording clock that we were looking at. So I think technically we're over 3 hours. To be expected, especially when Aisha and I get on the microphone together. So take it in good humor. We had a lot of fun on this podcast. I hope you did as well. There are issues with the season, but overall, the vibes were exquisite. Really enjoyed it. So thank you again to everyone who's able to subscribe. We really appreciate your support. We couldn't do it without you. And I hope everyone had a good time. And will be one more episode with John and Alicia next week for a season wrap. John is catching up on the episode. And then I've got a couple more bonus segments coming in the pipeline. So if you're a season pass holder or a regular subscriber, just stand by and those will be coming at you over the next couple of weeks. Okay, everyone, thank you again. And we join the episode as normal.
Danger. The emergency disrupt system is now activated.
Welcome to the Lorehounds. We're your guides to xenomorphically induced terror. I'm your host, David. This is our coverage of the finale of Season 1 of Alien Earth, Episode 8, The Real Monsters. We have been running squadron style like we did for Andor for this season. And each week I have had a different set of guests join me. I want to thank them all and say, maybe the real monsters are the friends that we made along the way. I don't know. But John and Marilyn have just finished up on Foundation. I think they still have yet to record their final wrap-up pod. That'll be coming soon. Alicia is mid-season with Peacemaker, and she's covering that with Jean and Aaron. And today I have my esteemed colleague and dear, dear friend, Aisha Khan from the Every Single Sci-Fi Film Ever podcast. Aisha, it's good to see you. How are you?
Lovely to see you, David. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. I'm so excited to continue our tradition, kind of this new tradition. We got to wrap up Andor together, and we're doing this one. And I was like, "You're the perfect person. I just want to spend a couple hours deconstructing the show."
Yeah, it's funny actually because there's a part of me that wants the last one because then I don't have to worry about it for as long as possible and deadlines
right,
freak me out.
exactly.
But then when I've been listening to the rest of the coverage, I feel like, oh, I would have liked to talk about that. That would have been really interesting to talk about.
I can tell you, having running point on this and having all of our, but I'm doing all the organization for all our guests and everything like that, and I'm just ready for the show to be over. Even though it's a bittersweet thing because I'm a little exhausted. That said,
you guys have a crazy schedule, but good on you.
Well, fortunately, there's three of us.
Thank
yes,
God.
That's right. For our subscribers. Yes. I think Alicia, I was joking with Alicia about whether she wants a spice tea, spice from Dune, or an android body. Like what would empower her to be able to consume all the content and do all the podcasts that she would want to. Anyway, spoiler warning for all things Alien Ever. Just blanket, like if you're not up, then sorry if we spoil anything. Season wrap up. John and Alicia are going to join me next week. We've got that scheduled for next Friday, so that'll be out in a week. John is catching up on the season, and Alicia has been watching along, and I'm really excited to talk with both of them about what they thought about the season. So get your feedback in avp@thelorehounds.com. Send in voicemails, just record them on your phone, send it to the same email or send an email. I know there's a lot of chatter on the Discord. Our Discord is awesome. It's an exquisite place, just a lot of fun people with a lot of just cool, respectful, interesting takes on things. It's a great place. So you can post comments there, but email really helps us when we're doing the show prep to have it all contained in one place. A reminder that if you want to support the podcast and all of the work and sacrifices that we make, this is not a guilt trip, but just if you want to show us your appreciation, you can either be a regular subscriber on Patreon or Supercast. There's links in the show notes. And we set up a season pass. So that's a one-time purchase. You have access to the feed forever. You get the ad-free episodes, and you also get all of the bonus content that I've produced. And I've got a few more bonus episodes in the pipeline, and those will be coming out. So, and regular subscribers get all of that, as well as everything else. And then Season Pass just gets the Alien Earth bonus related stuff. So there's just really no way for us to be able to realistically do this podcast without the support of the subscribers. So thank you all very, very much. Those of you who are regulars and those of you who are Season Pass. Like, honestly, the fun and the joy that we get to have on the microphone is all fueled by your ability to support us. So thanks one and all for that. Really quickly about feedback. There was a couple of episodes ago, Anthony and Steve from the Properly Howard podcast did a really hilarious feedback episode. Did you hear that one, Aisha?
No, I really wanted us to. So I did all my homework. I listened to every single episode. Do you know how many hours? I have consumed so much media, and I apologize for any confusion that goes out there. But that was on my list. But I was like, I can do that afterwards.
Right. So, right. Yeah. It's hysterical, and they throw in their original.
I love those guys. Yeah. So it's going to be great. Yeah.
It's in. There's just some. They do a couple of comedy routines that I was not expecting that had me on the floor. And then they throw in their original 1979 Alien review from years ago. And it's an absolute, Steve goes on this riff about space underwear. It's just hilarious.
I think, you know what? I think I heard the intro, and then I was like, I don't have time for this. I need to go, right. I need to go back and listen to the older episodes that you guys did. But he mentioned the underwear in the first 10 minutes or so.
It's a riot. Absolute riot. Anyway, that's most of the housekeeping. Remember, rate and review. If you got something nice to say, we would love to have your comments. It helps other people find the podcast. Last little bit of housekeeping. We had been and continue to track the Disney Jimmy Kimmel president, government authority, FCC thing. It looks like things have changed there. Basically, we don't talk about active current politics a lot on our podcasts. This one kind of strays into the realm of television. And a lot of folks were concerned because they really felt that they needed to vote with their dollars and whether they continued their Disney subscriptions or not. The issue isn't over, but a lot of it has been resolved. And I just want to let everyone know that while we avoid the politics on here because we want the entertainment space and it's just a fun place to come and hang out. But everyone we podcast with, everyone who's part of our extended community, we're all very aware of what's going on. We all are tracking things and we're talking about them. We talk about them on the Discord a little bit. So just to let everybody know that we're not ignoring it and we continue to track it. So anyway, that aside, Aisha, we have a good 8 hours of television here. This is not the season wrap up. This is the episode 8 podcast, but I am really curious to not only hear your thoughts on the episode, but a little bit on the season overall. You and I have a deep alien history. It's part of our core relationship.
It's how everything started.
It's how we got to meet each other. Yes. And so I'm intensely curious as to what your thoughts are.
And you can't see this on the podcast, but I do have my alien book right behind me.
Oh, nice.
Which I recommend to everyone. It's awesome.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I have mine too, which
the
is
Rinsler book. Yeah.
Alien in Philosophy. I have that one right there behind me as well.
That's because you're
it's I infest,
you're a high
I am.
class of fan. That's right, David.
I haven't read it. I haven't cracked the spine. So
yeah, I like getting the picture books because then I'll just look through.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah. So what do we start with, David?
It's open floor to you. Do you want to give some notes about the season overall, or do you want to talk about the episode specific? I'm really curious to know if the episode has been, the season has been working for you.
So I started watching the season and I was intrigued, and it looks beautiful and everything was in the right place. And after the second episode, my husband was like, no. And I was like, you know what? I kind of know what you mean. It's dragging a bit. I mean, I was intrigued and I had hope because I am a huge Legion fan. Legion is by Noah Hawley is one of my top 5 TV series of all time. So I was like, he's going to do something with this. Yeah. So my husband, after episode 2, just noped out of there. And I had faith that it would get better, but I couldn't convince him. So then I watched it all the way to episode 7.
Okay.
And then I was like, no. You need to go back and I need to rewatch it anyway. So we sat and we watched the whole thing. So he really enjoyed it.
That's
episode
good.
3 onwards. Yeah, that's brilliant. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I know the one thing that I think everyone loved that I cannot, and I really like rock music. My favorite band is Led Zeppelin and has been since I was 14.
Yeah, we're connected.
I adore them. There's a lot of music in there I loved. I adore Alt J, but I can't handle this music with this show. So that is my first hot take. Don't email me. Don't harass me, people. Leave me alone. This is my opinion. You don't have to have it. I love. And
you don't
the
need
music.
to comment about your opinion.
Yeah. I love the music, and I really enjoy the show. I just don't. I can't. It just it takes me out of it every single time, and I've tried to analyze it.
You're the first person.
Yeah, I know, and I've listened to all of it, going, well, surely someone is like me. No, this is why I was the outsider at school. I understand now. I think rewatching it, for some reason, episode 7, I was like, oh, I might change my mind about the last track on that one. But yeah, I think it was just I kind of got used to it. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to think, is this the kind of music that someone who's reliving their youth listens to? I don't know. It's a Peter Pan thing. I didn't know. It took me out of the world. I didn't enjoy that. I'm sorry.
That's interesting.
So we'll just kind of take long pause. Overall, I love the fact he stuck Peter Pan in there. Mm-hmm. Because I've never been a fan of Peter Pan because I think there's always been something a little bit, even as a kid, I thought there was something a bit creepy about it, and
100%, yeah.
There's just been always something that didn't sit right.
There's
with
a
me.
darkness. There's a deep darkness to it.
But even with the Disney film, I've not enjoyed it.
Okay.
As a child, and I've never really understood why. But I absolutely love the fact it's been integrated into this.
Right. It's a framing device, really, for the whole season. And
I love all the themes, and I imagine we'll go into a lot more of those themes as we go through. I do want to talk about the title, but I think we'll leave that to later. I want to talk about the 3 beings that are non-human in this. So we've got the cyborgs, the synthetics, and the hybrids. Now, when at the beginning they set that up right from the start, I think, okay, so we know what synths are. We've got cyborgs now. We kind of have an idea of what cyborgs are. And now we've got these hybrids. And you assume that hybrid will be somewhere in between the two. But they're not. They're 3 such distinct personalities. And I found that really interesting that, the synths are efficient, they're calm, they don't have emotion, they don't, Kirsch doesn't want emotions, he just...
Right.
Yeah. And they have a sense of self, which is quite healthy because they're not unlike Morrow, who is our cyborg, who seems to have a lot of issues with being that kind of halfway house between a machine and a human. And later we find out reasons, including this episode, why that might be. Mm-hmm. He's obviously someone who had a weakness. He was obviously someone who had a weakness. And people look down upon him. And it would be interesting to know, is that just because, a cyborg's just considered freak? So they considered people who in some way traitors? Is there some kind of history there? You can tell there's a negativity attached to cyborgs, right?
There's an ostracization of them. Oh, he's a cyborg. Oh,
yeah. He can't sit with us type of stuff.
right.
And the stuff between Kirsch and Morrow was just fantastic, culminating in this episode, which was great. And then the hybrids aren't anything like a mix. They're not a hybrid of these two things. They feel like a completely new thing. And that's in large part, I think, because they're children. And it's interesting because then it does go into, we're investigating on what it means to be human, which is such an old, like, science fiction trope, but such an interesting one. You know, like Blade Runner and Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep is fascinating because it just continuously plays around with, what is a human? Are they androids? Are they real humans? What is the differentiation between the two? And it's great because they've just gotten these children and in effect given them superpowers. And they don't have the maturity to kind of deal with it on a larger scale. And yet they're suddenly expected to deal with things that they are just not prepared for.
Right.
And in terms
and I think that's to add something which I remember listening to one of your very early episodes when you talked about what is science fiction. Like what does it mean to have something to be science fiction? And oftentimes science fiction is spaceships and laser guns.
Yeah.
But science fiction is Severance.
Yeah.
Right. It's this what if game. And so one of the things that I think Hawley did, we have alien, we have xenomorphs and other creatures here. We have a spaceship. Okay. All cool, superficial levels of quote unquote sci-fi. But I think the real sci-fi question here is, what if you transplant? What if you could transplant? What is consciousness? And what if you could transplant it?
And that is the core question. And I don't know why it's interesting because it's something that we can't ever really answer.
Right.
Like, if you actually try
That's why it's sci-fi.
Like if you sit down and try and pick out the bare bones of what is consciousness, it's the concept that we have some kind of reference to ourselves. Like it's just too nebulous a concept. And it's actually interesting watching it again with my husband because have you seen The Creator?
Yes.
So in that they've got like big holes in their heads. And I watched that whole film with my husband and all the way through, he's like, well, they're not human. It's fine.
Well, that's the premise of the movie.
He's like, they're just machines. It's fine. They're objects. And I know he's doing it slightly tongue in cheek, but in this, he was invested. And it's like, well, they're still just machines, but because you've transferred the human memories and the human emotions and the kind of whatever the physical, outline is of a human into a machine, it suddenly becomes more valuable. So that's quite interesting. And I love when before she's going to be transferred, she says, "Will I dream?" And I think that's
such a great wink and a nod to
everything.
Yes,
because it's like,
exactly.
Do androids dream of electric sheep or sheep with their eyeballs missing? Whatever.
And I love that he used sheep, and like he's just playing with so many little the toys that we have in the toy chest. He's got tons of them out,
and the toys become very important, I think, in this episode as well.
I want to add one thing really quick too. I don't know. Have you gone on to, I had a couple of interviews with Tansy Gardam, but then also with Saul and Asher from the publication called Heat Death. And I had an interview with them a while back, and on their, so they're a blog, somewhere between not a journalism site and not a blog, something very robust articles with very interesting takes. And on one of their articles from a while back is called "The Soul in the Machine" and the Forgotten Origins of the Word Robot by a writer named J.D. Harlock. And he goes into the history of how that word robot was, and a whole bunch of other things. But
which is a Czech novel from...
Correct.
And it's to do with workers.
Yes. Yeah, so you should read that. I'll put a link in the show notes,
That
but
would be
you should
lovely,
definitely read this article. But because then I see also you have in the Ghost in the Machine.
This went really heavy on the Ghost in the Machine stuff.
It did. It
Just
really,
like, oh,
really
we're
did.
ghosts, and like, what do ghosts do? It's funny because when they say stuff like that, you answer the TV, don't they? Yeah, they haunt people. They're in the machine.
Right.
But also, apart from Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, it's also like humans dream, which is, and we talk about it. It's quite we can't talk to our cats. Well, it's a one-way conversation when I talk to my cat about dreams. But it's a very human thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then Neverland is also where children go when they go to sleep, when they go to dream.
Right.
And it's supposed to be like a physical, it's born of dreams type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a lovely theme they've had all the way through it, because everything does feel a little bit dreamlike. The way he's done the kind of soft dissolves, the way he's done some of the, I didn't know the name for it. I think one of your guests mentioned it, when they have something near and far and they have it both in focus, when they do like
the split diopter. That was Ian from the Captain's Pod. I think that was episode 3. I think so.
So those types of things they feel dreamlike.
Right.
And I think Noah Hawley has a tendency to be a little bit quirky or psychedelic and those kind of things. So it would work. Although this looks completely different from his other stuff.
It does.
And it's interesting because it is so different. Like I feel like he could literally, like you could get him to do anything and he could do it in the style of.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that that's what he's been required to do. Like you can't just suddenly go into Alien and make it like Legion. That would be just weird and wrong, and it wouldn't fit the franchise. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see him do other stuff.
I remember when I first sat down to watch season 1 of Fargo. And I was like, well, this is just the movie. Why would I watch a retelling of the movie as a, 10-episode television show? And then years later, I think it was, I don't know if it was season 3. It was the one with Kirsten Dunst. I got into that one and I really loved so much about that. And I was like, oh, I get it now. And then I went back and then I'm a big fan now of the Fargo thing. But he really is good. He's exceptional at taking the style. But then I never feel like I did with a lot of the Star Wars animated stuff where they're just recycling and rehashing in a kind of a fan service memberberry way. This thing is littered with callbacks and winks and connections. But it always feels integrated and well serving of the overall story for me. I never feel like he's doing it just to, hey, remember this? Remember when that happened? And didn't you love that sound effect? And didn't it's all over the place. I'm not going to deny that. And yet I'm completely comfortable with how he handles all of that material. And
it's funny because he obviously does like a science fiction. Have you seen Fargo season 2?
Yeah, I've seen them all.
Where suddenly there's an alien spacecraft. Right. It's a bit like Life of Brian as well, where an alien spacecraft just suddenly shows up and then goes away. Exactly. I love that. So those are my thoughts on the 3 creatures that we're looking. And what I wanted to mention, which I don't think you've mentioned it, and as I said, I think I was paying attention to every single episode released, but the link of Peter Pan with sick children. Mm-hmm. Because Barry gave, like the writer of the Peter Pan series, gave the copyright to the Great Ormond Street Hospital in the UK, which is a children's hospital.
Right.
And that is owned by Great Ormond Street. There are some legal, I don't know how they've done it, but that belongs to the hospital in perpetuity in the UK. Right. So they still get royalties if there's like certain stage plays and certain stuff. So they have that forever. And I always think that's such a beautiful gift. It's such a generous and kind kind of gift for Barry to give. And then the show has these sick children who are then being shown Peter Pan, as they're done. And I just thought that was a really interesting connection as well. Which I think,
and
I think
we can never really know how much research and intentionality Hawley and the rest of the team. Some of the stuff we've heard on the official podcast seem to be happy accidents that happen a lot of times when art is being created, and there are synergies and parallels. things that rhyme, that are unintentional, but yet at the same time, there is so much intentionality in the show. So how much did the production actually knowingly use that to frame the especially the transfer, like you said, with the projecting the movie on the ceiling?
I get the feeling that people knew about that. I mean, I think it's one of those things that's very well known in the UK, like someone giving away the rights to such a popular story in perpetuity to Great Ormond Street Hospital, which has a huge reputation in the UK. It's a National Health Service hospital, and they treat really sick children with cancer and leukemia and heart disease. So I can't imagine that that's a happy coincidence. It feels very purposeful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we going to talk more about Peter Pan when we get to Boy K, or should we dive into all the Peter Pan-ness now?
We can weave it through unless you have some big sort of meta thought that you want to add. I will say that I feel like I should have been reading Peter Pan over the course of the season, and I double checked the length of it last night. I think it's not that long. I could have easily read it, and I feel like there's not one-to-ones. We were talking on the Discord quite a bunch about the Peter Pan-ness on this episode.
Yeah, I don't think they've not done it exactly. And the fact that they've done it quite vaguely makes me feel like we don't really need to read it, because it's not like it would have been too obvious if they'd done it one for one. Like if Smee acted exactly like Smee, and if they'd done it too much like that, it would have just been Peter Pan.
And I've got some, we'll do a little bit of feedback before we get into the episode, but I got a great piece of feedback about that particular note, a particular note about that as well. But anyway, carry on.
The idea of our childhoods being extended in times of prosperity is quite common. And so, because I've just covered the 50s and stuff, the 50s are when the concept of the teenager came along. It was an economic boom. We didn't really have teenagers before then. And the idea
rock and roll, automobiles, it was a really profound shift in. That's when we actually start to think about generational, reflectively, we now there's broader scopes of generations, and it's really starting from the 50s when we start to get some harder boundaries and tighter timeframes of when generational shift changes occur.
Yeah. And so American International Pictures is a film production company from the 50s who had what ended up being called like the Peter Pan formula, or the Peter Pan syndrome, which was that they would, so they've got this kind of, I'll name the kind of things that they have on there. So it's action, revolution, or controversial themes and ideas, and then killing in terms of violence, notable dialogue and speeches, and then fantasy, acted out fantasies common to the audience, and then fornication, sex appeal for teenagers or young adults. And then the concept behind it, which made it the Peter Pan syndrome, was, and this is the thing, society caters to the Peter Pan stereotype, like the person who is Peter Pan, because a younger child, this is the theory, a younger child would watch anything an older child watches, but an older child won't watch something a younger child watches, because that's
agreed,
not cool, right? Yep. And then a girl would watch anything a boy watches, but a boy won't watch anything a girl watches.
Super interesting. Like, that's so obvious, but it's not something I ever thought about explicitly.
So it's codified. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what they did to catch the greatest audience in the 50s, and now parents had been staying home to watch television, and cinema like owners had told AIP that you need to cater to teenagers, because the parents are home watching TV. It's the teenagers who are coming out.
So interesting. Yeah. See, this is why everybody needs to go listen to your podcast right now. Anyway, carry on.
And so they were focusing on the 19-year-old male. And that was always what they were aiming for, because it's teenagers. It's the oldest boy teen.
Who actually has autonomy and has pocket money, has a job maybe, and
people want to be like, the younger boys want to be like him. And, you know, we sadly live in a society in which women will watch reams of the male gaze, but men still find it difficult to either write women or watch films that are from the female gaze. So that's
Bechdel test, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something else that's interesting. And that's, I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about Boy Cavalier, but he is that epitome of Peter Pan, even though, like, you know, Wendy goes in at the end. Wendy Marcy goes in at the end and completely berates him of that. But that's the concept behind his self-image, or even how society sees him.
Right. His narrative and what he projects to the world is that, but she speaks truth to power in a way. And I've got an audio clip of that, which I'll play when we get to that scene. But that's really insightful. I hadn't like the idea of so much of our define, at least in the United States, and as a producer of a lot of culture around the world, even though that's changing now. Like my daughter has not forsaken Taylor Swift, but she has switched her attention to K-pop very intensely.
Well, is it because of K-pop Demon Hunters?
But before that, she was into Lisa and Blackpink prior to, and then then suddenly K-pop, and it's like, oh, this is even better.
Yeah.
So some of that balance is shifting, even though that it's originally informed by American culture. I don't know. It's a big soup. It's a big soup. And but the idea that so much of our pop culture tropes and narrative impulses come from this 19-year-old male American middle class, quasi-urban, quasi-suburban, quasi-rural, who's got a car and who has a job and is very interested in being sexually active, probably, and being in and fulfilling very heteronormative relationships and things that so much of what our current American culture unassumedly is cornerstoned on that model.
Because in the 1930s, a lot of cinema was based around women, and the biggest, audience used to be women. But by the 1950s, that completely changed.
Fascinating.
And I also wanted to talk about how tech bros are becoming the new villains now. And I find that fascinating. The next episode I've got coming out is on Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and Boy Cavalier quotes this. No, I know. It's episode 42. So, so for people who are fans of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, will know the answer to
I can't believe you didn't ask me to come on the podcast about that.
I'm so sorry. The person I had on is another friend called Mark, who actually ran for about 4 years or something a podcast, which was the A to Z of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh my goodness! Wow, perfect guest, perfect.
I was going to have him on as a co-host, but he knew so much, and I was like, "There's absolutely no point in you hosting this. You need to be like a full-on guest on this."
Right? Yeah. That's amazing. I cannot wait to listen to it.
Yeah. So, but in that, we talk again about the influence on tech bros and how tech bros are becoming like such a focus of modern culture. And I think it's really
founder
interesting.
Culture, right? The founder.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting watching it in like TVs and films that, we used to have, like, the British have always been villains. And then we had like the Russians were villains for a really long time. You'd get people with unnecessarily Russian accents. Sometimes you'd get German ones to kind of be, reminiscent of World War II. And then anywhere near 9/11, it became like Muslims or Arabs.
Right.
But I feel like there's a real shift going towards villains being tech bros. And this is this is one example of that. So I think that's quite fascinating as well. I mean, we've always had like the elites as a kind of villainous thing, but it's...
And some elites got in episode 2, I think it was, where the...
oh, that's really funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the fact they made them look all Victorian and powdered wigs and faces and stuff. Yeah, that was very funny. And you knew what was coming. You knew they were getting their comeuppance as soon as you're like, I'm in the same club. You're like, yep, that xenomorph.
You're dead.
Yeah.
It's interesting because we just did for one of our subscriber bonus episodes for our Elevensies show. We do movies every month. And I did a run of spoofs of the 80s spoofs, Naked Gun and all of that, and Airplane, the 1980 movie one, which is sort of the film of that subgenre type of that very specific parody, which is a parody of the disaster era films of the 70s.
70s, yeah.
So I went back and I actually watched all of the airport movies, all 4 of them. And I watched the 1950, what was it, 7? I can't remember. I flushed a lot of data once I'm done with my deep dives. but it was at 0 hour, which was what Airplane is really hard coded directly off of. It's almost it's
Oh,
5% of the original script.
okay. I'm
of that.
writing that down.
And so we get Airplane, we get all the airport movies, we get Poseidon Adventure, we get Towering Inferno. I think there's some earthquake stuff thrown in there. And then I think in the 2000s, it was some asteroids are going to strike the Earth type thing and, global climate change. And so we exercise, it's a very well-known phenomenon of exercising our demons through our cinema. And so it's interesting that the tech bro is now rising to be, it's not the narco trafficking, Arab, Russian, German terror, whatever. It's now these founders with their founder egos and their, I have $1 trillion. Why shouldn't I rule? I mean, obviously I'm talented. And we talked about that with Anthony in the, I think episode 5 podcast about, what is it called? The thing where you overestimate your own abilities and skills.
Hubris? Is that what?
No. Yeah. Something. I'll dig it up. But anyway,
that sounds interesting.
Yeah. Carry on with your next.
Yeah. No. So I was just talking about how tech bros are the new villains, because I think we're all quite scared of them. Quite frankly,
100% we should be.
Yeah, and we should be, and it's scary, and that will come out in the various types of media that we produce, and for good reason. I wanted to quickly mention because there's a pirate theme in the film. They mention pirates a few times, and then the Ice Age film, which I only know because my kids watch it.
I fortunately dodged that one. Yes,
and it's 4. It's not even
Dunning-Kruger effect. That's what it was.
The Dunning-Kruger. Yeah. I feel I'm always on the happier end of the Dunning-Kruger. Yeah. I'm like, I know stuff, but I know nothing. So that has pirates in it, that episode. And then he says, is it like, I assume he says Indians rather than Native Americans because it's Boy K. Was it like fighting?
He said India, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. Is it about Indians or pirates? But the concept of a pirate is someone, this is just a thought that went through my brain, is someone who takes over a vessel. And I just thought that was interesting because these human consciousnesses are taking over.
Oh, funny. That's a fun little, yep.
Are they pirating these bodies? And eventually they'll be taking over Boy K's.
Right. Now they're taking over the island.
Those bodies belong to him, but they don't anymore.
Right.
And then I really want to talk about the title. Do you want to do that now? Or do you want to do that later?
Go for it.
So who are the real monsters? Is that right? Yeah. And that's
the real monsters.
Oh, sorry. It's called The Real Monsters. But the oldest
implicit in that statement is
the oldest question in science fiction is probably who is the real monster?
Right.
And the real monster is always us. Pretty much. Always us. I mean, it's been us all through Alien. Like all through the Alien franchise, we've had in 1986 is the one where she says, you don't see them fucking each other over for a goddamn percentage.
Right.
In Frankenstein, which is generally known to be the first sci-fi novel, it's not the monster that is the monster. It is Victor Frankenstein who makes the monster who's monster. Right. And that's a really nice parallel to the fact that now Boy K is now creating 100%. These. So the themes in this go all the way back to the origins of science fiction, and he's played around with so many of them. I think it's also interesting because when we see monsters, if a xenomorph is in my house, I am not the monster, right? Like we are saying the xenomorph is the monster, and I think this episode tries to tell us that these children are the real monsters because they're something like, they should be scared of us.
Right.
Rather than the corporation being the monster, they should be scared of us. But really, that's just what Frankenstein did as well. Like that still means that the person who created the monster and then was selfish, neglectful, and, irresponsible. That's the real monster.
Agreed. There was a great Discord comment by, I believe it was user Biological Riley. No, I'm sorry. It was Eon, who says, in my opinion, the real monsters are the hybrids. And that sparked off a whole bunch of conversation about that. And then Jessica made a very funny thing, which is I used as a joke. Thank you, Jessica, which is the real monsters are the friends that we made along the way. I love. But yeah, there's monsters about. This whole island is full of monsters. Moro as a monster, the soldiery as monsters, the boy Kay, Adam and Kirsch, the children, Dame Sylvia, absolute monster.
God, yeah, Dame Sylvia is so strange to me because I just can't figure her out.
She's a low-key villain.
Yeah, but then she's like the moment when she is mothering Curly,
mm-hmm.
and she goes, "I don't know what to do," and everything's so hard, and she's holding it, and it's such a tender moment, and you just think, you completely left your husband, and that relationship just doesn't make sense for a start. Like there was no, you just can't see them connecting.
Right.
On anything other than maybe they can talk about science a bit. I don't know. Like they didn't see any compatibility there.
Right.
And then she doesn't seem to have any loyalty to him. And then she's like, oh, no, I can just take over and you can get rid of him. She just seems completely devoid of there's something wrong with that woman. I mean, she's got great cheekbones and she always looks amazing, but there's something wrong with that woman. And all the actors are magnificent. There's nothing wrong with the acting. But I'm saying as a character, like even in this episode at the beginning, which we'll talk about, but there's a xenomorph on the loose. Why are you outside? She's picking people off. Stay inside, lady.
There's been a lot of critique and criticism about the dumb choices people have been making throughout the season. Chibuzo with the water bottle, the crew on the Maginot, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's part of the conceit of any horror show is that people, and that's what engages us. And we know this as well from podcasting, is that enragement equals engagement. What do? You shout at the screen.
Yeah.
Seriously, you shout at the television.
I was looking at I was doing some research and I went onto YouTube and I was like, I think when it comes to anything that's to do with TV or film, I guess from the videos that I came across, about 70% of the people who have really big accounts are proper edgelords who just want to criticize stuff and be like, oh, I'm going to say how much I hate this stuff. And people either be outraged or engage, or they'll agree. And it's that, we're drawn to conflict.
Yes.
But in terms of making
who is the real monster?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's right there.
In terms of the stupid stuff, I watch every single Alien film going, I would be the stupid person. Like I don't follow protocols very well. And so even in the original film, when she's like, don't bring him in, I'm like, come on, Sigourney, he's going to die out there. You have to bring him in with that thing on his. I would infect the ship. I would infect Earth. I would be like, no, it's fine. He's just got a facehugger on his face. I would be the worst person. Do not take me on any of these kind of missions. And also, which I pointed out, I only know pi to 2 decimal places. If I was captured and taken to a different planet and someone was like, well, everyone knows pi, and they're like 3.14, I'd be like, that's right. 3.14. I didn't have any idea, although I've learned it now to 4 decimal places, but I would have no idea.
Right.
Basically, as I said, I'm on the happy side of that Dunning-Kruger effect.
I want to go back really quickly to the Frankenstein thing. Alicia is working on a big Frankenstein project for her October. I think it's going to be on Wolshift Dust on her feed. And I believe she's invited you as a guest for that as well.
Booked that in. I keep saying yes to stuff.
Well,
I'm excited
yes.
though.
Good.
Yes.
I'm excited to hear her project, but I love, and hopefully I'm going to talk with her about Alien Earth relative to Frankenstein. And I've got another project that's involving the Jurassic franchise with Tansy and Asher from the Heat Death. And there's a lot of Jurassic in this as well, which is, again, humanity playing with the known unknowns and the unknown unknowns. And I think for me, one of the ways that I've been able to internally rationalize the stupidity quotient of a horror film sort of thing, beyond the conceit of, we need people to do dumb things to make the story happen, is that when you're on the edge of what is known and unknown, the decisions that we make and the responses that we have are often mismatched relative to the threats or the circumstance that we're dealing with. And so the lab is not designed to contain alien species. The ship is not designed to transport these human beings. Relative to our understanding of the universe, are not designed to handle, contain, and transport these things. And so what may appear on screen is like, oh my God, I can't believe you just put the water bottle down like that. Oh, I can't believe that you didn't lock the door. I can't believe you didn't whatever. Cinematically, that's designed to activate us. But at least in this utilization of it for the show, I feel like it is a way for Hawley to put us in that position of these are known unknowns and unknown unknowns. And we're just right in that zone. And so every time something can break glass or what have you, it's not designed to be able to hold that. So nothing that we have, our containment systems are not designed for these creatures.
Yeah. And that glass is always so easy to break.
I've got let me grab this piece of feedback really quick from Ben Mahana. If I have that, I don't think I have the syllables right, but Zavon A, who Ben Mahana, I'm going to butcher that, on our Discord. Oh, actually, let me just run the whole thing. I still have some hot takes, and I know you do too, and we're running along on this, but that's you and me.
I've had 2 teas.
Perfect. They say, hi, Lorehounds. Been listening to the original Peter Behan story to see which threads they're inserting to the story. I found very few that I find interesting. I have found a few that I find very interesting. The first one that made me chuckle was Kirsch is the Nana character, and by influencing the hybrids to be more robotic, he's fulfilling the fear that Mr. Darling had of raising his children to become puppies. Secondly, that's really interesting. Secondly, various aliens might all be of their own faction and locked into a struggle against each other before humans ever encountered them. And I suppose that goes to the question of what planets did these come from, and are they co-evolved species or from different worlds, which would make it even more interesting. This is based on the following quote. On this evening, the chief forces of the island were disposed as follows. And I have to say, an aside, J.D. Barry's, J.M. Barry, Barry. J.M. Barry's prose is really hard to read aloud unless you're into this almost lyrical cadence. It's really written in a very interesting way. Anyway, continuing. The Lost Boys were out looking for Peter. The pirates were out looking for the Lost Boys. The Redskins were out looking for the pirates. And the beasts were out looking for the Redskins. They were going round and round the island, but they did not meet because all were going at the same rate. So we'll put a pin in that for a second. In addition to the alien forces, there are also now multiple factions in the mix, and who knows how they will all turn out. But the Lost Boys, and this was written episode 5. Episode 6. No, 7. God, I'm off my mark here. This was written before episode 8.
And
are now
obviously
trying
to say that the term, I mean, obviously the term Redskins is very rude.
Yes,
But this is within the context of J.M.
within the
Barrie
context of the
writing,
original source material.
A very long time ago.
Yeah, thanks for to go home. Let's see, to turn out, but the Lost Boys are now trying to go home, and Peter Pan doesn't like it. Although I don't think Boy K identifies as Peter Pan because he has grown too old, he definitely idolizes Peter, and obviously we have that come up at the end of this episode. And then this is the one that I wanted to get to about the weak glass. And lastly, on the oft maligned subject of the weak glass, I want to make a case in favor of the show's choice. The Earth species mantis shrimp, look them up, they're crazy, can break aquarium glass. The force of their appendages can the force of the appendage strike creates cavitation bubbles that produce a shock wave, heat, and light. So it seems perfectly plausible that an unknown alien could have unknown strength capable of breaking through solid glass that then looks like to be a weak cage.
Yeah. I mean, I would assume that different creatures have different, there's probably a lot of gravity on other planets, so they need to be a bit stronger and more denser as well.
Well, and this goes to the point that I think I was trying to make, which is there's some known unknowns here. Okay, the fly, digestive juices, et cetera, but there are unknown unknowns as well, where we just cannot predict their abilities or their behaviors. Absolutely. And so what looks stupid to us on screen and what looks like weak glass on screen pushes us onto the point that these are alien species. These are not things that we can build for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Going back to it just reminded me again of Dame Sylvia, because you're talking about the roles that they have on the island.
Yeah.
And I've not read Peter Pan, and I don't think I will. Now that you tell me, it's not just that I haven't enjoyed I love the fact the story behind Great Ormond Street, but never been crazy about the story. And if it's difficult to read because of the rhythm of the writing, I don't think that's going to appeal to me very much. But in the story, it is Wendy who is asked to come to be a mother figure to the Lost Boys. And so really it's Dame Sylvia who takes that role on the island.
Right.
And Wendy ends up developing feelings for Peter, but Peter doesn't, he doesn't have any feelings for her. And when he's questioned how he views her, he's like, well, you're the mother to the Lost Boys. And so it's interesting because Boy K is quite dismissive of Dame Sylvia as well. Not to suggest that there's anything romantic, but the idea that it's a very unappreciated kind of role that she has. Even though he says to her, you're not their mother, that is obviously the role that she has either given herself or the role that has developed for her on this island.
Right. And the Alien franchise has always been about, one of the elements of the franchise has always been about motherhood.
Absolutely. And again, that's also interesting because that goes back to Frankenstein.
Interesting.
Save some of this stuff for
for sure. I really need to talk to Alicia about Frankenstein now.
Yeah, but the whole idea of a lot of the time in science fiction, when men are creating life, it is to compensate for the fact that they cannot naturally create life.
Right.
And so,
yeah,
so that's a thematic thing, that we have these mothers and this kind of life cycle, which is a theme, and then you have Boy K making his life cycle is making these synths and filling them with human,
and ideally, ultimately himself.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, we're 45 minutes into
Well, what are your hot takes, David?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I'll just speed run a few of them because they're not too in depth. Just really quickly on the topic of whether the episode worked as the season finale. I get why some people might feel that way, and I don't disagree. And I've got some criticisms, which I'll address in a minute. But as I rewatched this episode and I thought about a lot of what's going on here, this is Noah Hawley at a refined form. And I think he's been quoted in an article saying he was only working with 8 episodes, where his instinct is to work with 10. I can't remember what the Legion episode counts were, but most of Fargo was always 10. And so he's okay. Was that one of the criticisms is, did this season suffer from compression, which we often talk about in prestige level forms of television, when we have integrated storylines where there's a major story arc running through the entire season, as opposed to in standalone episode type television. But this show and this episode, for me, I love what Noah Hawley creates for us. And so I was fully vested in this episode. And yeah, I was caught surprised and short by the ending of the episode. But then as I rewatched it, I really found a lot of satisfaction in it. And one of the things that I love that Hawley does is he has this sense of the absurd. And when the timpani drums were playing it several times, the big kettle drums in the episode, I was just like, oh, this is Hawley just going for it and just being absolutely absurdist into this degree within the boundaries of the storyline. And so for me, it worked, but I also totally get why for a lot of folks it felt cut short on the storylines. As I've told you before the show, I did actually think, are we going to go for another set of credits? Because I didn't realize it had been 45 minutes. It felt like it was really short. Yeah.
And I thought we were going to get into the episode afterwards. My sense of time. I have time blindness. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
But yeah, so I know what you mean. I get it. It's an ending. It's an ending which allows there to be a second season, which is, I'm sure, what the makers want. But I was really shocked. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Is that it? What?
And, for context, Shogun, it took FX about a month for Shogun to get a season 2 green light. That's a very different story because that was based off of a book. And the showrunners really had to think about, hey, do we really want to do this? Because this is going to be the next decade of our lives with this single property. And I think Hawley is eager and ready to go. He's been on record of wanting to. So I think and FX has previewed all of these, their senior leadership have seen all of these. So they understand what he did by jamming a cliff. It's not a cliffhanger, but it is a clear setup for season 2. And so he's forcing the issue. But again, on a second watch, I felt very satisfied as a season ender here. And I completely sympathize and understand the point of view for folks who are like, that didn't work for me. I get it. But I love Noah Hawley and I love this world. And this is like chocolate and peanut butter or maple syrup and bacon. Like, I did not expect these to taste good, but when they're together, apples and cheese, whatever, right? You name unusual flavor combos and there's something new that's created. And for me, that's where it works as a very high level show. Okay. Visual language. I just love the visual language that he established, the way that he built from 79, the dissolves, the horror shot composition, the diopter shots, and all that kind of stuff. And
I'm sorry, I know we're not doing episode 1, but those beginning shots where you feel like you're literally watching the 1979 film.
Totally.
And Mother, and just it's just, I mean, it's funny because you can get fan service, which I can find a bit too much sometimes.
Yeah,
but
tedious, right?
Yeah. But it was just nice because it's visual. It's not throwing it in your face. It's not trying to like drag the point home, but it was, and they've got the breakfast kind of scene redone. It's just, those first few shots were perfect.
Yeah. And apparently Ridley Scott did a set visit and he was like, holy shit, like this is, how did you do this? And then at that point, I think Ridley Scott was like, I don't need to get in this man's business. I'm going to let him make the show that he's going to make because he knows what he's doing. There's so many quick edits and there's little things that both serve as flashbacks, but also what just happened so that you get an interior monologue. In a book, we get interior monologues with characters. In television, it's harder to do. And he does that with those quick edit scenes when like Wendy and Joe, when Joe's thinking about and Wendy's thinking about their past. These are interior monologue shots, and also flashbacks. The same thing with the warm open stuff. So just really expert level visual design and visual storytelling. The background music on this episode was just incredible. If you go back and listen to it, the timpanis are amazing. The lighting was pitch perfect. That's a mixed, can I say pitch about sound? I suppose if you have synesthesia, it's okay.
Spectrum perfect. I don't know how it works.
Yes, but anyway, the overall look was dark, but I never felt lost because all of the characters were lit perfectly, and they really compensated for skin tone really well, which is really hard to do when you have a mixed cast like we had here. And so I just really appreciate the level of craft that they brought at that level. So many great performances. Sydney Chandler was sublime. And we can talk about other characters as we go, but she did such a good, she could have royally screwed this up. But she nailed it. She landed it. She took it, and she took it, I think, beyond anything that I could ever expect.
Yeah, I think she was phenomenal in it. I can't remember who out of your, which episode it was, someone was saying they didn't buy her as a child, but I thought she did it wonderfully. The silliness of Slightly and Smee, but I think...
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, she's like, when she goes to ask permission to go into the wreckage, like you can tell she's trying to be clever, but there's something really childlike about the way she's like, look, we can do it because we can do anything. We're, premium and all that kind of
premium,
stuff. Yeah. I think she did. I think she nailed it. I thought she was really good.
I don't know if you've heard the interviews with her, or maybe on the official pods and stuff, where how she got the job and how she went and actually called up Noah Hawley and said, I need this role, had coffee with it, like the whole thing. Like she did it. And kudos to her for making it happen for herself. So, because I think she really did fully embody the role.
Yeah. And I think she's got like a famous parent or someone from somewhere, but yeah, if you're doing that well, it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really interested. I'm not a horror genre person in general.
Yeah.
And so, there's body horror, there's psychological horror, there's this whole monster, other alien type of horror, right? When we're faced with Jaws or the xenomorph, or a guy in a gorilla suit, all of those things. Wink and a nod to It, Terror from Beyond Space.
Yeah.
But I really love the fact that he's playing with sociological horror as well, which goes to your founder point, the horror that is these human beings who have mega corporations.
Yeah, the dystopian, the nitty gritty of living in a dystopian society.
Yeah. And then the moral horror and the way that Morrow manipulates.
Oh, yeah, that's tough, man.
Slightly. This is a new kind of horror that I don't know that I've ever seen before. Again, I'm not very conversant in the genre, but the fact that Hawley is layering in every single layer of this, all these different types of horror, and then the moral horror is what is, to me, the most terrifying. The sociological and the moral horrors, I think, are what are resonating with me the most.
Yeah. And there is such a kind of this is all done for corporate greed, but the concept of manipulating a child has got so many really dark, terrible layers that it just makes you feel so much more like, it's terrible as it is, but it just makes the tension of it is it could be so much worse. Because these children are defenseless. They've got these bodies which are, premium. She can jump down from that mountain and she can race, but mentally, as I said, they're not ready. They're not ready for this kind of life. Right. And that's, there's a protective element, I think, in most people that you don't want them to have to go through those things. As Arthur was the kind of moral center. Right. And
he paid for his sins.
Yeah.
This is the absurdism. This is the absurdism that Hawley is playing with is like in the face of cosmic horror, it doesn't matter what morality you held or good things or bad things you did. Yeah. So a couple of quick criticisms. We'll take a quick break and then we'll get into the scene by scene. Episode compression, I think this suffered slightly from episode compression. And Joe and Joe's arc, I felt that of the great performances that we had, I felt that Alex Lawther's performance for me was the weakest. And sometimes it almost felt even like he didn't know what he was doing on screen. I mean, I'm reading into his performance, but it didn't work for me. Maybe if he had just spoken his native accent or something, I don't know.
Was that? I can't tell. What was his accent like? Was it too...
It was American, but I just felt, it was North American, whatever, not British, his normal, his mother accent, I guess you could say. I don't know. There was just something off in his performance for me. And I get what they were going for, and I just didn't appreciate his portrayal. As an actor, I absolutely respect the heck out of him. Yeah. And there was something that was off for me in this one. It was an uncanny valley.
Do you think it was that the part requires him to be a little bit like that? Like he doesn't have a massive arc that he goes through.
No. I guess his arc is coming to accepting that his sister is a super being, has superpowers, and is willing to kill. I guess that's his arc. Yeah,
he doesn't really have much of an arc. Yeah.
He's a sort of backdrop.
He's a kind of passive, a kind of more passive character. And he is fantastic in, have you seen End of the Effing World?
The Witch? No, I haven't.
And then I think that's brilliant. And also as Nemec, he's
right,
great.
Of course.
In that,
yeah. So my first exposure to him was as Nemec, but apparently he's got a quite the career. So we're lucky to have him, I guess, in a wider release production.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but I see your point there.
Right. And I think my last little criticism is Wendy's magic powers. They just sort of are there, and then they just start sort of flourishing in a very convenient fashion and in very convenient times.
Yeah, maybe. I like the idea that they're all linked up to this system, and therefore she can manipulate it in...
No argument about it.
Although, if it's not a touchscreen, how is she using it as a touchscreen? I don't know.
Right. She's got some hard Wi-Fi antennas in her. And what is she going to do when she gets off the island and she doesn't have the network?
Or maybe she's got, maybe she's just got like a Wi-Fi thing that she can just connect to anything. And who knows?
But it is really overpowered.
It is. What I love, the two kind of bookmarks that I just want to quickly mention. One is the magic, because at the beginning you have Boy K saying to Marcy, "Do you want to see some magic?" And he claps his hands.
Yes.
And the Peter Pan comes on. And right at the end, when Boy K is not expecting it, Marcy, snaps her fingers and that door opens.
Good.
So I like that bookend. And then the other one is the crab and the scorpion. So you've got two exoskeleton kind of creatures.
Very good point. Oh, yeah.
And so at the beginning, and that's why I think Kirsch is so interesting. And I'm glad Kirsch hasn't died yet, as far as we know.
Right. But
he at the beginning, he doesn't have emotions, and he's very happy at not having emotions, but then he's still, it's like almost like a scientific inquiry. Like, why would you want to kill something? Like he brings out the empathy in Marcy.
In a kind of a counterintuitive way.
Yeah, which then leads her to then that's like foreshadowing of the fact that, okay, she's not going to kill the scorpion. She's not going to kill, like she's going to befriend the scorpion or befriend the xenomorph.
Oh, God, I didn't even think about that. Good catch. Perfect.
And then the crab at the end as well. Yeah. Because it's got the same kind of like the two claws.
Yeah. And the alien, the Xeno sort of goes, "Oh, aren't you cute?"
Yeah.
Pats it on the head. And
yeah, you look familiar. So yeah. Those are the bookends I just wanted to mention.
Yeah, and there's some other bookends which we'll talk about in the scene by scene too that I picked up. Right. There's one little piece of feedback I want to drop before we go on break, which will help set up for the season. The TCS, who is a very active Discord user and one of our subscribers, thank you for your subscriptions, wrote in an email, and I've broken up their email and placed some comments throughout the outline. But this one that I wanted to sort of start off, which will help frame some of our conversations going forward, said, "I counted 4 callbacks to Aliens, only 4. There's more, but the ones that they caught which I loved seeing. It's my favorite of the movies. So, and this was Aliens at 1986. So that jump out at me and make me want to share. The elevator opening for the soldiers made me immediately think of the elevators in the sublevel. Elevators are a really core part of the Alien franchise mythology and storytelling. So absolutely. And we got elevators a couple of times in the season. So absolutely. It's a great callback. Bonus was the self-destruct alarm that Wendy scares them with, which is a callback to 79 with the Nostromo's self-destruct sequence.
Yeah, okay, at the end. Yeah.
The open sheep container when Adam locked Joe in the room was a great match to the open xenomorph container locked in the room with Ripley and Newt. Of course, that's a really good one. And Rashidi saying, "Stay frosty" to the troops as they're going into the lab. Which is also another one that TCS really loved. So, and there's more, and I picked up a few that I'll sprinkle out. But I think it's a fun framing device for us to keep to see if we remember any or call out any other things, because I think Holly is drawing from the entire franchise. I saw some Alien 3 stuff in there as well, and so
okay,
cool. All right, well, let's take a quick break, and then when we get back, we'll get into the scene by scene.
Okay, great.
Hey everyone, David here. We're almost done with Alien Earth, and I wanted to let you know about something that we've put together. We've created a season pass for our coverage. It's $10 one time, no recurring subscription. You can grab this whenever it works for you. What you get is ad-free access to all Alien Earth episodes, plus the bonus video analysis that I've already done, and several more background conversations and special episodes that I've got in planning. We put a lot of work into the episodes, and when it's all said and done, you're getting more than 10 podcasts for $10, which really is a pretty good value considering the amount of time and production work that we put into all the episodes. And look, we're an independent podcast, and having direct listener support like this means that we get to keep doing this kind of deep dive coverage that we all enjoy. It's pretty simple. So only if this works for you and your circumstances, no pressure at all. But if you've been enjoying Alien Earth coverage and want to support what we're doing while getting some extra content, the season pass is there for you. You can find the link in our show notes or head to lorehoundsnetwork.supercast.com. Thanks for listening, and thanks for being part of this really great community. And we're back. Right, this is episode 8, The Real Monsters, written by Noah Hawley and Migizzi Pensino, who is I looked at their IMDb, super new writer. So I really love the fact that Noah Hawley, same with some of the directors that he's worked with, that he is really bringing in, and he's doing what the industry should be doing, which is bringing up and training their own so that we have a sustaining population of writers and directors and production folks. This one was directed by Dana Gonzalez, who also directed 2, 3, and 7. Longtime collaborator with Noah Hawley, did a lot of DP work with him, and now doing a lot more directing. 47-minute runtime, which is not the shortest. Episode 7 was the shortest at 45. And Neverland episode 1 and 5 were the longest at 64, and the rest of them were all in the mid-50s. Yeah, so I think that's why, both the last 2 episodes being under 50 minutes for a prestige level show, it's phenomenal. And that's why I think a lot of us fell short, because we were like, wait, is this like a false credits? Is this? So... the warm open. So we start with the body of the xenomorph like we do in a lot of the episodes. We have a couple of notable variations. I did a video analysis of it for the bonus subscriber folks. Then we get some scenes of the sheep and Boy K, the alien killing Team 2 and Wendy petting it, Arthur getting chest bursted. They actually reused that. I thought that was wild to actually give us a full chest burster with the boys on the beach. And then the confrontation on the dock. And again, we get the Strange Brew lyrics. Strange Brew, kill what's inside of you.
Which you just taught me in your coverage is kill what's inside of you and not girl what's inside of you.
There's a word for that mishearing lyrics.
It's been like I've listened to that song for decades, and I'm like, girl, what's inside of you, man?
Well, you were relative to you, right? Yeah, that's perfect. I hopefully Mark and Nicole will talk about. Well, I forget the word that it means something when you mishear the lyrics. It's a great phenomenon. Question: are the warm open? Is that style? Has this been working for you over the season?
Yeah. I have a terrible memory, so I don't like to skip intro generally, unless I'm going, unless you're going back to back to back. Like if you're binge watching, then I don't need it. But I think even if I was binge watching, I'd still want to see these. Yeah, so it's working for me.
I think it's really great too in the modern context of 2-screen viewing. Was it Dopamine? I think one of our subscribers said this earlier on in the season. It almost forces you, because there's no dialogue, it forces you to pay attention to the screen. Hey, right? Things are going on the screen. That's where I need your attention right now. So it's a nice way to bring us into the world. And for a lot of shows, Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon or Westworld, I'll just skip the thing unless we know that there are little Easter eggs in it. But I love that there is no break and it just tonally takes you into the storyline. And I haven't heard a single criticism of it. I think everybody really, really likes it as an evolution of style and form. All right, well, let's start with our first scene, Sir Arthur the Crab Feeder. It's a little Game of Thrones joke there for you. We open with Arthur's body on the beach, followed by various scenes of the island, and then we join Dame at the graves of the children. Great bookend scene because we start with Arthur, and we don't end with Arthur, but we have
with Arthur.
Yeah, and then there's a integrated start end with the kids in the holding cell and then the adults in the holding cell. So he bookends the episode with these two key things. So the xenomorph comes for a quick sniff, I guess, maybe seeing that, maybe it's trying to track its compatriot or something. I don't know if they have pheromonal communication.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't like the xenomorph out in the daytime.
It's weird, right?
Yeah, it's really strange. I want a xenomorph that is in the shadows and it's dark, and it just feels very strange. And then on top of that, like I thought she was gone because I was like, that tail's going to come up. So to me, it suggests that the xenomorph doesn't want to kill Dame Sylvia at that point, because otherwise I feel like she'd be dead.
Right.
Yeah, like she's intrigued by her, and it could be some kind of mother. There is that mother theme.
Right,
she's like the mother figure. She's gone. I don't know.
Well, the Xeno doesn't kill unless it's necessary for the plot. I don't know. Is that a criticism?
It is. No, but that's quite true. But generally, she used to kill everyone.
Right.
But in this series,
a little bit more selective. I do love the fact that Holly changed the and I'm using, and again, I just a preference. When I say Holly,
the team,
it's code word for the entire production team. There's a whole lot of creatives, and it's just hard to hold all of their names and everything like that. So I can say the production or Holly, but that the production changed the color of the skull of the alien. And almost like there's Mandelbrot, those sort of Chaosian design patterns. And I guess maybe its skull is being exposed to moisture and heat in a way. So the discoloration, and it's not just the skull, but it's also on the body. But regardless of what the in-world answer is, the outworld visual, I love it. It tells me something about the world.
And I mean, humans are of different colors, so maybe xenomorphs are too. So,
and we know that they have very reactive DNA. Their DNA allows them to adapt and change form, as we've seen across the movies. There's partly the movie making aspect of that, different directors and different access to different materials and research. But an in-story answer is that their DNA allows them to alter their form. Very rapidly. Dame brings flowers to the children's graves. And I have a half-baked blog post from early on in the season about what the flowers represent relative to the characters.
Yeah. Did you
and I couldn't
something?
identify a couple of the flowers.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then I just got busy with other things and I never finished up with that article. But I love she brings the same flowers for each of them so that it's part of their identity as the children's identity is bound to the flower.
Interesting.
I did a little freeze frame on the xenomorph when it got shot, and there's a puff of smoke and there's a little dent that occurs on one of the sort of ridge lines. And I was like, and then I looked at, as I was thinking about it, the soldiers were coming from behind, but the shot was more from the front or the side. So it doesn't make sense. So there's some criticism that you could lay, like, why didn't it kill her? And then how did they actually chase it off? And I guess now that I think about it, they're being very careful with their shots because they don't want to shoot Dame. They don't want to just open up on the thing, right? Because then likelihood was that they would shoot Dame. That makes sense now. So
she seems so out of touch with everything that's going on, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like even when they take her back, but we'll get to that later. Like the fact that she's out there and people are dying left, right, and center. It gives that kind of, ivory tower.
Right.
Like I've lived such a privilege. It's like the people with the powdered wigs and you live such a privileged life that you don't understand that your life is in danger type.
Right. She's very disassociated with the realities of the world. Yeah. And like we were talking before, and this was Anthony's point on episode 4, I believe, or 5. No, it must have been. I can't remember now. It's a little blur. That she's a villain and that she married Arthur because Arthur was useful for her, even though her outward appearance is motherly and as a caretaker and as a soulful. I'm for whatever it was I did. I'm sorry. No, Piper. Sorry, there's a lot of White Lotus coded stuff in this season as well. Southeast Asia has a big boom in filming locations right now. There was something else I was watching. Jurassic World Rebirth is set in these sort of island type things. So obviously White Lotus and some other stuff. The Creator, like you talked about before. Anyway, let's move on. Oh no, comms are down again. Another trope that gets used quite liberally. More scenes of the island with Ines delivering a nice voiceover exposition, updating us on the circumstances and the current stakes. Yeah,
I kind of like that because again, so you've got Dame Sylvia going out there when she shouldn't, and she should know better that it's a very dangerous situation, and then you have Atom Ines kind of like really kind of telling how dire the situation is. There's no comms. We're really understaffed. The xenomorph's picking people off. We've got the kids in a holding cell, but as soon as they figure out they can just get out, they'll probably get out. Like he's like, look, I suggest you leave. And he like this idea that if you are privileged, you don't understand. Like he's not. I mean, later we find out that he was threatened as a child. But his lifestyle for the last X number of years has been so protected. I don't think he understands what kind of danger he's in. Or he's just so crazy, because he is a bit like wacky, that he doesn't care.
And nobody's willing to challenge them, as we saw earlier in the season as well. When he challenges Arthur and he's like, what? Say it. I know what you're thinking. Do you have the fortitude to say it to me? And no one does.
That's because of the way he reacts. Like he can kind of go, you don't have the guts to say it, but that's because of the way you react when people.
Because you would actually punish me. You would actually fire me. So, the reversal of the hybrids in the cell at the beginning, and then the adults in the cell at the end, and it made me think. What kind of freaking island is this? This is a corporate headquarters that has holding cells. What is a corporation doing with the holding cells? And what are you doing premeditating the need that you might need to hold somebody in this kind of high max security cell.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a slightly rhetorical question, granted, but it really, I think, points to the fact that these 5 corporations do rule the earth, and that somebody on Boy K's team said, oh, yeah, maybe in case we need to hold somebody and torture them, I guess, I don't know, for espionage or...
I haven't read the blog post about the East India Company, but I will do, because I find that whole part of history extremely interesting.
Duve is such a good writer. It's so well laid out. The argument is so well laid out. It's great.
I'm definitely going to go and read it. But I know that they used to have armies. And
Correct.
so, yeah, so they would hire local people. And so it's a fascinating concept. So yeah, it's that idea that, privatization has gone so far that people need, I mean, right now you assume that most companies, that like big tech companies, would have not military armies, but they're going to have defense in terms of, obviously, you've got your McAfee type stuff, which is quite low level, but they're going to have people looking for intel. Like I imagine there's some type of espionage that goes on that level.
Right, 100%.
And things to protect those. So
yeah,
when does that become physical? It probably does sometimes. Like, who knows? I believe there's a lot of corruption in the world. Like, yeah, but it is quite interesting that they have holding cells. But also, that's the world we live in, I guess.
Right. My ship's cat has decided to make an appearance. So if you hear any weird noises or chewing on the microphone, it's just Jonesy here. So moving on, I think we can get to the next scene. I shouldn't be here. Trapped in a cell, the Lost Boys contemplate their fate and realize that it is they who hold more power. Wendy gives each of them their names back, whistles for her dog, or crocodile, as the case may be, and then starts effing with Boy K. And I've got an audio clip here for us.
No, I'm the favorite. I'm not supposed to be here.
No, in the book, Wendy Darling is Peter Pan's favorite. And then she grew up, and that made Peter mad. And so he kidnapped her daughter, Jane. We're all in this cell because we can't be kids anymore. But they won't let us be adults. We're all ghosts.
I don't know if you pick up on it, if you listen back again. At key moments, there's little gong sounds. Yeah. And it is at moments of realization or transformation that those sounds are keyed to. So like when Nibs says we're all ghosts, there's a lower register off in the, I don't know, I'd have to talk to Mark about the key change of that. But it's almost, it is a moment of realization, but it's a moment of negative realization because in the sense of they get to do some bad stuff now, relatively speaking. And I just love the sound design for this scene, that they're using the background music to mirror what the characters are experiencing. So at the beginning of the scene too, there was a couple of quick shots of some plastic figures.
Yeah. So toys, I think, are quite important. And he talks about toys later. Yeah.
And it codes very Peter Pan for me with the different monster factions.
Yeah, but it's quite like it's Native Americans and cowboys and Indians, as they would have been called, all the way through. And so that again leads back to Peter Pan.
Yeah.
And later when he says, he came to kill us all and take our toys, like it's it's
real consistency of ideas throughout the script. Yeah. There is this whole idea of Wendy giving their true names back to them. Or true names, their dead names. But it's an act of claiming their power.
Yeah, I find that bit really interesting because when she's like, okay, they should be scared of us, and they come out of the cell, and Jane says, "Oh, I'm Jane now," and I realize everyone seems to, people I've talked to are like, well, she's accepted Wendy's view, but I'm like, also what Wendy told her was that Peter Pan got his revenge by then taking Jane. So we don't know what's going on in Curly/Jane's mind. We don't know if she's like, oh, if I'm Jane, then I can be the favorite. And we don't know what potentially can happen in season 2, but they're obviously going to need some kind of conflict, I think, among the group. I don't know if they're going to remain as like one happy tribe.
Well, we'll talk about to the ending, the outro music, because there's some fun lyrical connections between the song and the group. Did you catch that Nibs was crying? That there was a scene towards the end of this where she's got tears running down her face.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
Is it Nibs that was crying?
Yeah.
I did make a note. I thought it was Curly that was crying, but no. I probably
just a tear, like one tear, and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Because Isaac is she crying for Isaac?
Oh, I miss Isaac.
Is she crying for herself? Is she crying for all of them? Right? She's the one who is the most willing to use violence, not just to capture adults, but to kill adults. She's killed twice now.
Yeah. And it's interesting because she was the most vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Like she was falling apart. She was an absolute mess. They had to wipe her memory because she was not coping with the trauma of everything.
Right.
And they mentioned something that she came from a traumatic background.
Right.
And now she's a killing machine when she wants to be.
In the Dune series, especially the books, minor spoilers for that, the first time Paul kills a person in one-on-one combat, his mother, Jessica, sets out, it's very explicit in the book, that she doesn't want Paul to get accustomed to killing and to get accustomed to liking killing. And so she confronts him about it in a way. And in this way, Nibs doesn't have anyone who's checking her, saying, okay, that's kind of a bad thing that you did. A bad thing? Well, is it whatever the circumstances, but that Nibs is now comfortable killing and didn't give a second thought about that guard.
No.
So, yeah. Something else I wanted to call up too was when Boy K is looking at Wendy through the security camera footage. The camera zooms in on Wendy. And as a lot of us know, with autofocus cameras, sometimes the lens needs to bounce a little bit to find the sharpness in the focus. So Wendy is looking sideways. The camera, she turns to face the camera and look up at the camera. The camera zooms in. This is the security monitor camera, mind you. It goes out of focus. And then as she's looking at the camera, it resolves and becomes focused. And so for me, I took that as a visual metaphor of what's happening to Wendy in this moment, is that she's coming into focus for herself. Yeah. Right?
I have a quick question because when I rewound that bit, and because it cuts to Boy K watching her.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's speaking to the xenomorph. But that looks like because he's also been watching the older videos.
Right.
So I don't think that's her calling the xenomorph then because her hair looks different.
I'd have to pay attention to that detail because I was also go ahead.
Because you think that she's looking at him and then she's calling the xeno, but I think that's an old video where he's watching her and realizing that the power that she has. But you might need to. I want someone to clarify. So Discord, email.
This is Hawley doing what he does so well in this season and in Fargo, is he's playing with time. And we don't know where we are all the time or who we're with exactly in a moment. And I think that is a brilliant storytelling because we can't get interior monologues. We have to do it visually. And I think even if it's ambiguous, I still think it services the story and the frame of the story. There, we get some shots of the xenomorph out in the wild, and I love the costume design, and I love a lot of what they did with the xeno. But sometimes the man in the gorilla suit just looks like a man in the gorilla suit, and there was a moment in the scene where I'm like, oh, that's just a person walking on all fours with a big thing on their head.
And that's the thing. If you made it dark and it was a bit less clear.
And they do a lot with, vegetation in the way or, things in the way. But yeah, sometimes it's just a man in a suit.
Have you seen the behind the scenes picture where he's wearing his like Adidas trainers?
No.
I'll send that to you.
Perfect.
Like they're waiting for a scene where obviously he's going to be chasing someone and he's got some trainers on, which is brilliant.
That's great. Yeah, I love those behind the scenes things where you have somebody in costume and they look, but they're doing something completely mundane, like Hamlet reading a newspaper in the behind stage or something. Couple interesting thoughts, there's a couple of thoughts. There's one production thing, which is that it looks like they mounted a camera on Boy K's chair. Yeah, that was really fun. That was very cool.
And also the fact that he's looking at Wendy. So he's looking at Wendy and he looks like there is a sadness there. And for a moment, it looks like he's like, that's his first child in a way, right? Like, okay, when he's telling her she's going to be the first man on the moon, I mean, even though he said it's not about money and ego, I don't believe him. I think most of us don't believe him. It is about money and ego. And so although he's saying you're going to be the first man on the moon, he's going to be the person who put the first man on the moon, right? Like with Wendy. Right. So when he's looking at her, there's a part of me that's fallen into thinking, oh, that's like, he feels something tender or special towards her. And then the chair spins. Sorry, but I just whacked the mic. The chair spins and he's looking at the sheep. And it's like his attention is gone from Wendy at that point. And then he starts talking to, I want to talk to you. Like, I really want to hear what you have to say.
Right.
And it's almost like Wendy's gone. Yeah.
Right. Well, and then we get the scene of Kirsch saying with your condition, impulse control is an important aspect of what, and he's even got a little pill bottle there, which is what he throws at the sheep when he's frustrated. So I thought it was very interesting that they actually used the word ADHD and then that you as a character have this condition.
Yeah. I mean, I think
it was like, whoa, it didn't take me out in a bad way, but it brought me up.
Yeah. It's interesting though. So I've been diagnosed with ADHD and I do think there's a slight problem. I mean, I'm saying this knowing that the new episode that's coming off, I've actually said that Zaphod, people process ADHD. So, like I'm saying this, including myself in the criticism, but there is a habit of if someone is, like with Elon Musk and his insanity of the last year, people keep going, oh, no, it's autism. And it's like, no, I've got a 15-year-old here who is not doing any of that. So, so there is that danger. But at the same time, it's interesting that I really like Kirsch's character. And I think the fact that he's like, don't be mad, be smart.
Such a good line. Such a good writing.
And Boy K has this fantasy of wanting to speak to someone more intelligent than him. And yet
it's a fantasy.
It is an absolute fantasy. And insisting that everyone around, so when he gets angry, he's like, they're all morons. And it's like, no, they're actually not. You are just completely incapable of any emotional intelligence. And that goes back to the thing that Alicia said about different kinds of intelligences.
Right.
When, in the older episodes, when Dane Sylvia is trying to have a conversation with you, talking about the moral, ethical, philosophical impact of what you're doing, you don't want to engage with her. You just want to you can't focus on that. You can't have that conversation. You want to have this weird fantasy where you think you are so intelligent that nobody can speak to you. And the fact that he got the Asimov Arthur C. Clarke thing mixed up, and there's lots of other things he does, where you just think, well, I'm sure you did make a synth when you were 6, but it's that kind of, oh, now I've become successful and it must be because I'm the smartest man on the earth. Yeah.
Dunning-Kruger thing. Yep. I actually wrote a blog post about the mix-up with the Arthur C. Clarke thing, but also brought it parallel to the Three Wise Monkeys and the dual meaning that imagery and what do you call it? That little philosophical tale has in Eastern and Western cultures. And yes, I agree that Boy K, that's a sign of his hubris that he got it mixed up. But I also think that was Holly waving a flag at us, because a lot of our listeners and our communities, our shared communities, would pick that up.
Absolutely.
And we were like, everybody was like, oh no, hang on, that's wrong. But what it was for me was a signal to go, actually, let me go read the other 2 Arthur C. Clarke laws, and let me think about Asimov's laws of robotics. And this is where I get into something that I find really fulfilling about the season, especially the early parts of the season, is that Holly was using philosophical inquiry as plot structure, as structural elements to the plot. What is it to be human? Who are the monsters? What would, what is it to have self-loathing, and what Ghost in the Machine, and what is all of these things. And so I found that use of that incorrect identification was that was chef's kiss. That was expert level. That was hyper galactic pan thinking or something. I've tried to pull it. I haven't read Douglas Adams in so long, but I think I need to reread. Do you think that Boy K thought for a half second about letting the image take over himself?
No.
Okay. I thought for a moment that he was like, just for a blip, just like, well, maybe it's me, like having fantasies about the image taking over Boy K. We were all predicting the image. Well, not all of it. A lot of people were predicting how Boy K would go out, but he didn't go out this episode. So.
Yeah, because there's also a bit of foreshadowing somewhere where he talks about an alien bursting out of him, and I was like, well, that's going to happen. But it didn't.
Exactly. It didn't. And nobody of consequence died. We have all of our...
Yeah, which I'm not that pleased about.
Yeah. There's some criticism, right, for that. So.
It feels like, I don't know, like it's supposed to be a xenomorph. Like, it is really difficult. And that is the thing. I should have said it in my hot takes. It's really difficult to get my head around a tamed xenomorph.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, it's not that it's, you know, like in the past, sometimes it doesn't kill people and it almost kills people. And, you know, you've got those kind of scenes. But having something that's like almost a pet, and thankfully she doesn't say, you know, when Wendy near the end, when she's like, oh, you know, we're food. And she's like, no, you're food. Thankfully, she doesn't say it's pet. She's like, I don't know what it is. And I hope it does end up being more of an equal kind of alliance than like a pet situation. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
Right. All right. Our next scene, The Haunting of Dame Sylvia, a new movie by Mike Flanagan. Sorry, I use Flanagan's name because of a horror writer, as a stand-in. The soldiers drop off Dame, and Wendy starts playing creepy video clips. One of the things that I picked up on this was Child Nibs in her video says that she wants to be invisible so that she can sneak up behind people, which she does later in the episode.
Yeah, when she drops up, down. Yeah,
exactly. And then this sort of universal existential question, when you start to realize the horror that is the universe and our existence, is, will we be okay? Will I be okay?
Yeah. Repeated over and over, which,
More great camera work, really. Yeah. So this is a little bit of a transition scene, so we can move on. Complex set of scenes here where the action's moving back and forth. So some of these are I'm going to get into some places where we compress some things or jumble some things up just to make it a little bit easier to attend to. But we'll start off with yesterday's conversation. Joe and Morrow contemplate their fates as Rashidi and Siberian patrol the hallways and get spooked by a mold scrubber, who I guess doesn't warrant being evacuated.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like, it's because he looks like a xenomorph.
Yes.
We're going to keep those randomly around the place, just to freak out people who are watching.
And then God sends them an elevator. I've got another little audio clip for us here.
Feels good, doesn't it? Being more than human. But there is a price. When a corporation gives you something, there's always a price. Do you know what it is?
Everything.
Everything doesn't begin to cover it.
At first, I thought that was a theremin at the end there, that music, but I think it just might be a flute. But great character moment here between Joe and Morrow.
I feel a lot's been revealed about Morrow there. And I actually love the fact that his name sounds like tomorrow. And he's like, I don't look back.
Right, yeah. Or he's also Dr. Moreau from the H.G. Wells
the
story.
Island of, yes.
Yeah. We've talked a lot on the Discord about Morrow and his character. And yeah, he's a bad guy.
Yeah, definitely. But such a fascinating character.
Such a good bad guy. In the sense of it's partly Babu Cisse's performance and portrayal.
Phenomenal.
But it's also the fact that he's relatable because I can see his path from street urchin with a deformed arm to having a father and then to having lost, who was his partner and who did he have a daughter with? We don't know anything about that. The daughters died. He went to space to be able to pay for college for his daughter. And
is that why? Like, that's what I find really interesting. Because when he says
in episode 5,
he like, obviously he's working for them, so she mentions that, or she can go to a different university. But yeah, I guess it's just when he says it's everything doesn't begin to cover it. Like, is he just talking about, like, I want to know more about, let's do a prequel, a Morrow prequel.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take a spin-off of Morrow.
But he doesn't look back, so we can't do that.
It's too, damn it. Oh, so good. And one of the things that I love about the character of Morrow, right, because we don't love what he does to children, is the fact that he has this degree of self-loathing that he harnesses that makes him a monster. There's a great shot here at the end when he eventually escapes, where we push in on him and he's just filling the screen and his face is transformed and monstrous. And he holds up the engineer in episode 5 with his knife arm like a Xeno would with its tail. When he's got the clips and he's downloading the information from Maginot's computer he looks monstrous there.
Yeah, he does that really well.
And he says, what was the line I was thinking of? Well, he dances all the way through the season of, being a cyborg, like you were saying before, has costs at a sociological level in terms of ostracization, but he's not fully machine, so he can't benefit from those things. Oh, the worst parts of man, fear and doubt and second guessing yourself and imposter syndrome and all of these things. And I just love the layers of complexity, but I really love the fact that Morrow as an individual takes all of that and experiences all of that and gives it to us in the performance. But then Morrow as a character harnesses that. It's like a nuclear power plant, right? He's built a containment vessel to hold the splitting of this atom here. And he uses that energy to power him through what would, for most of us, be impossible tasks.
Yeah. And it is interesting to wonder where that line is, because he can download data. So how much of his brain is his and how much of it is, a machine? It's just fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, love him as a character. Absolutely. And then Joe's like, you shot me. Like, and so it's just really great. We get to see these two characters again, right? Because they had that initial interaction. And then we learn so much more about both of them.
He shot him with he electrocuted
the taser.
Him,
Yeah. He tased him.
He's like, I saved your life.
So then we get Rashidi and Siberian and the rest of their unit getting jumped or getting scared by the thing. It was kind of a weak jump scare for me in regards.
Which bit the jump scare? Like when
the fact that it was a mold scrubber.
Oh, right. Okay, that bit.
Yeah.
They're not in the elevator yet, yeah.
Yeah, they're not yet in the elevator, which is just coming up. But as we talked about in the TCS wrote in, the elevators are a staple element of Alien because you're waiting for the doors to close.
Yeah.
Like,
and Rashidi's like, did you call it? And he's very suspicious. And you do that horror thing of like, don't go in. Don't go in.
Exactly.
They're not listening.
And the self-destruct sequence, I mean, and what elevator has a self-destruct sequence? So I think it was just Wendy playing a gag on them.
It was. And I love the fact that it seemed quite serious. And then you get probably the most adorable of the kids just kind of counting down, which is just... and that's the thing, dancing, like you get these little comedy bits. And I think the last episode had a lot of comedy bits in it.
Yeah.
And Smee had at least 2 or 3 in those. But like, there's a very serious, like this... You're all going to die in 30 seconds. And then Smee's just jumping around the holding cell.
Counting down. Is he
25, 24.
Right. And is he the voice for the elevator? Like possibly?
Yeah, I don't know.
But you're so right. With such heavy and dense material, having that comedy release valve is so important to us as watchers being able to hang with the story and not feel exhausted by the end of the episode. All right, let's move on to the next scene. Dear Joe, are you good? We cross from the elevator to Wendy contemplating Joe. With a voiceover of Marcy reading a letter from the past. And then we snap back to the present as Wendy unlocks the door to Joe's and Morrow's cell and they escape.
Now, is that flashback? What is that? Because they can't both, like, is that what she imagines he's going through when he, like, is that her thinking that? Because it suggests it's her thinking that.
I think this is, again, one of those inner monologue, those visual...
Internal things. Like, I sent him this letter and this is what it must have been like for him to receive it.
And who's thinking the thought?
And they switch that around a lot.
And again, he's playing with it with sense of space and sense of time.
Yeah.
And he uses that visual language of those soft dissolves.
Yeah.
I think it's just masterful visual storytelling that I'm fine with the ambiguity. I don't know who's having the thought. I don't really care. But what to me is important is that both of them, maybe they're not having the thought in the moment, but that is with them as people in the world. And as we walk around, as we're doing the dishes, as we're picking up the kids, we're doing grocery shopping, mowing the lawn, whatever. What kinds of things are our memories how we're just tripping through our own memories and thoughts and reflections about life.
And it's nice when near the beginning of the episode, when they're cutting between both of them and it feels like they're both, that's what's on both their minds when she's like, what did you do? And it's kind of, it makes sense that both of them would be thinking about that moment. Like it's quite an intense, stressful moment. And now they're both being held prisoner.
And they need that. Yeah. They're when she's looking at it and Smee says, she's got a lot of regret and anger for the fact that Joe chose his human companions. And we get that confrontation later. So they can't not help. It's one of those relationships where no matter what you do, you just are hurting the other person and they're hurting you. And you just, it's frustrating and it's awkward, but they so love each other and depend on each other. And there's 2 things. Smee convinces Wendy that Joe is one of them. And then he gives her that little hug.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be okay. It was a very Smee thing to do. So it's something that helps resolve her opinions about Joe in that moment, even though she's got to address this circumstance. But then in the flashback, obviously we have the dad is sick. His cough is getting worse. His leg is looking bad. He can't visit me as much. And then it's really literally a blink and you'll miss it. The father is talking to Joe and telling Joe that he's got to take care of baby Marcy. And this is one of those flashback scenes from early on in the episodes where the family are together. And the father tells Joe that he has to take care of her. But then there's a second clip of that where he's saying to Marcy, you got to take care of him. And it actually, if you have the closed captioning on, you'll see those lines of dialogue. So the commandment of the father to both of them, even though Marcy is an infant at this time, is you guys, I'm not going to be here anymore. You guys need to.
I do that with my kids all the time. You got to look out for each other.
You sort of.
My legs are fine, but
I'm not going to be here forever.
Yeah, and I think when you're a kid, and I mean they fight and stuff, obviously, but there is that thing of like, no one quite understands your upbringing and your perspective like your siblings do. Yeah. It's interesting. Even if, and I think everyone knows, like everyone's experience of even in the same house is different and you have different opinions on your parents and all those kind of things. But to know what it's like within that household, it's your whole formative years. I think that's pretty important.
And then Joe, when he's in the back of the APC, is reading her letter and crying. Again, we got another sort of character silently crying because he's halfway around the world and he can't be there for his sister or his father. So there's a lot of guilt and remorse and I think some frustration and anger between the siblings. Why weren't you there for me? I was in a war. Well, why couldn't you just come home? I couldn't.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break. And then when we come back, we'll pick up the episode with Morrow and Kirsch. Fight.
Yeah,
fight.
The fight we've been waiting for. The fight we've been waiting for since that exchange in the elevator.
Yep. Elevators again playing an important part of the Alien franchise.
It's but you saw the two soldiers outside the window and then the blood splats. Did you notice that?
No.
I noticed that on the second watch. So you see Kirsch and you see there's a door in the background and there's two soldiers on duty and the camera pans to the right. And then when the camera pans back to the left, there's two blood splats on them.
So good. So good.
It's just, and that's the thing, that shouldn't be funny. It made me laugh.
Right.
Yeah. And then
there's so many of those little things. The plant monster later, we'll talk about it. Nibs dropping out of the ceiling.
Why is Nibs in the ceiling? Anyway.
Because it's cool.
That really confused me.
Right. But there are so many little tiny details that unless you're watching it with the ability to pause and go over it, even watch it in slow motion, there are a million little details like that. So was this fight vibes only, or did it work narratively and did it move the plot forward? I don't think it did.
Sometimes, I think sometimes. Have you seen?
Sometimes it's okay.
Have you seen Deadpool versus Wolverine, or what? Deadpool and Wolverine, where he looks at the camera and he's like, "This is what you guys have been writing for." I think it's one of those fights.
Okay, I think I did watch it, and I don't, and I think I intentionally let those memory cells.
Yeah. So it's not really. They don't need to be remembered so much, but it's one of those things that it was like, oh my God, they're going to fight. I am a bit of a sucker for a fight, generally. So I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it. And then you kind of start getting like, who's going to win? And also, I love the fact that like Morrow knows you can't creep up on a synth, right? He knows he's killed the two guys that he knows. Right. And then Kirsch, I assume, can hear him.
Right, like, there's a moment where we know that
he can hear, but I'm sure he heard him when
even before
killed those two people out the door.
Right.
No, I just like fights sometimes.
The fight choreography was great. The choreo was absolutely on. I never lost track of what was happening. It was very short and dramatic and violent, and it was very satisfying. It didn't go on to a ridiculous degree.
Yeah. And also, so Kirsch, you assume, should be stronger, but then you think, well, maybe he's not a fighting model. Maybe he's never really studied any fighting. Whereas Morrow has been out in the field, and his he's an operative. Left arm, is solid. And that's what he does most of the fighting with.
But he's also fighting with his brain, with his head. because like you said, he has been out in the field. He is an operative. He's, I think, again, if we go to the backstory season, please make that. The fact he's dangerous, and like I was saying before, he's harnessed his anger and his self-loathing and his resentment, and he's honed that to a degree so that he is, you or I against Kirsch, we're done. It's over in a blink. But Morrow, he's not only fighting with his arm, but he's fighting with his experience and his anger.
Did you think Kirsch was done for?
Well, then we talk about the worst mistake, that the worst parts of humanity is
monologuing
when you're about to give the coup de grace.
So when the milk's dripping, I'm like, oh my God, Kirsch is dead. I really like Kirsch. I don't want him to be dead. And as soon as Morrow starts monologuing, I'm like, nope, he's going to be fine.
All good. Another blink, if you miss it, and I screen captured a couple of these and put them on our Discord, you can see the monster moving across the ceiling.
Yeah.
And it's like
so
moving
something
around.
Escapes. I don't know if I've seen it then or when the soldiers come in, but you're like, first I thought it was some kind of something we haven't seen before. And not until the death did I realize what it was. I was like, there's some kind of like stingray octopus. Like,
that's what it is. Yeah, that's the... so he instead of looking, he sort of shot, then looked, right? But he made the fatal mistake. And then we get the timpanis. Boom, 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 boom. And that is a Holly.
Is it a bit 2001? Is it like?
I know. To me, if you go back to especially season 5 of Fargo,
he just likes them.
This is this absurd level drama. This is melodrama, right? This is a morality play. Holly is using these forms. And I think he is intentionally going over the top with the timpanis, but I don't care. I love it. I am absolutely here for it. So, all right. Next scene, Sweeties, your floor models. Boy K comes to check in on the kids. We learn about his childhood, and the kids decide to play hide and seek with the adults. Oh, and Wendy calls her pet. I've got another.
And he's about to lose his lost boys.
You killed your father. No, the point isn't who killed who. The point is I'm running a multi-trillion-dollar business, and that's before people find out they can be immortal for a low, low price.
We don't belong to you.
Of course you do, sweeties. You're floor models.
So this goes back to this idea that Boy K is trying to commodify immortality. And he's got a lot of founder energy here, right? You're floor models, right? That talk about dehumanizing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, because obviously the immortality is a huge theme through the whole series as well. And so he is searching for this, what is it called? That elixir of youth.
El Dorado.
But the fact that he has no concept of fear. Like, these things can kill you. And they are conscious that they can kill you. They've calling them floor models at that point. But then he's so used to degrading everyone around him. I guess it's just a habit. He doesn't really think about it.
Yeah.
It's of no consequence.
Well, and he takes that moment when the door opens, which is such a baller move on Wendy's part. She's like, tell us the story. And can I just shout out the shot compositions too of the children in the round?
Yeah. The shot compositions in this episode were fantastic. I just absolutely love that one where you see Morrow on the floor and it's like the circle.
Yeah.
Anything with symmetry always gets me. But even, cinematography is great.
The use of the round holding chamber comes into play so well, not only being able to stagger the vertical positions of the characters, which I think is a really interesting thing, but then also the camera moves from the outside, from the inside. There's a great one when the adults are in the cell at the end. the camera corkscrews down and shows us where everybody is. As we're vertically moving down the center, it's corkscrewing around. And it is just such technical, but delivered flawlessly camera work.
Yeah.
So I forget where we are, but we were talking about
He's losing his
immortality, I
lost
think.
boys. He's, I was just talking about his obsession with, he's such a strange character.
Yeah.
And
Well, we
I'm
learn
sure
about
there's
his past here.
His childhood here, yeah.
And he does the thing where when the door opens, he's like, oh shit. But then he kicks in and he's going to do that thing where typically a bad guy does a self-reveal to position themselves within the story frame. And he reveals about his past and his father. And he uses that. He tries to dominate them, like you were saying. Like he dominates everybody by walking in closer. Like, I'm not afraid of you because my father was so horrible. There's nothing that you can do that's going to make me afraid of you.
Yeah. And that's, I do wonder because he sometimes seems like he's more shocked, but he doesn't seem like scared. And I don't know if that's because he's from a traumatized background and he's like learned to mask that, or if it's just because he's a little bit deranged and he's having fun. Like,
oh, totally.
When, like it's when Wendy says to him, like, and I love that scene's fantastic when she says, run. like, like it's just a playful, again, it feels like a playful thing, run. He laughs and it seems like he's having fun. Like it's
100%.
It's such a strange, character. He's feeling,
I think part of his psychology is that brain size of a planet, right?
Which is from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, by the way.
Perfect. Absolutely.
Which is what Marvin, the paranoid android, says. I love Marvin. But he's talking about his job satisfaction. But I think it's really funny again that he quotes, I mentioned this on the podcast on Sunday, so sorry for repeating myself, but a lot of the tech gurus like to quote these big science fiction, cult science fiction novels and books. But they don't seem to understand what they mean. Like when Marvin says the brain, the side of a planet, it's funny that he says that.
And I think that's really important why you go back and you read Clarke's other two laws that go around the third, because the third is always ripped away from the other two.
Yeah.
And the whole point is that there's a way that we need to approach the future and technology and the limits of our own understanding. And that goes back into the known unknown things and the unknown unknowns, that we blind ourselves with the boundaries of our own knowledge, but we need to be aware that we're doing it and we don't do that. And that is the downfall, that we get lost in the magic. We get lost in the technology. Look at this amazing thing that I invented. It's so cool. And then we forget that in this case, we're playing with fundamental forces of nature by bringing these aliens into an environment that they're not from.
Yeah. Very interesting.
A couple of things that just a little pickups. The kids were watching the fight on the television, because when we pan back, they're all sitting on the floor watching Morrow, because we see a scene with a computer screen of Morrow and Kirsch fighting. And then she turns off the screen and it's a readout of the cell. If you freeze frame on it, it looks like one of those test pattern pictures, but it's actually a readout of all of the security systems of the cell that they're in.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. And then when Wendy calls the xenomorph and its tail disappears into and it's always a stupid effluent pipe going out into that's how you always get into the castle, is through right? There is a whole bunch of little crabs at the entrance of the pipe.
Oh, is that?
There's like 4 or 5 crabs right there so he was like playing with his friends.
Yeah. That's quite cute.
Is Adam his first synth?
Yeah, that's what I took. Because when he's telling the story,
we
cut to Atom waiting behind the door and Joe
Right.
coming in. And I'm like,
Right.
oh my God, it's his dad. Well, his fake dad.
right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are, I mean, that's what Holly is clearly setting up for us to derive. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to blame Hawley if it's not true.
Yeah, exactly. And then I love Smee acting like a monster.
Oh my God, I love that. That's what I said. Like the comedy bit, like he's like a kid being like, I'm going to be like, yeah, it's lovely. It's wonderful.
The name's Jane.
Yes,
Love
but
that,
why? We will find out later.
Hide and seek. This is a combined. So I've got two combined scenes here that I'm just compressing. So I'm going to just take all the kid stuff and put it into one. And then we'll take all the stuff with Adam, Joe, and the eye and put it into one. Smee feels bad and slightly encourages him to shrug it off.
Yeah.
The Xeno plays havoc in the halls. Nibs sneaks up on Sylvia. Smee and slightly tie up Kirsch and Morrow.
I love the fact Kirsch is like, where were you 10 minutes ago?
You two are grounded.
Yeah. I want
all
Kirsch
season
to be a good
he's
guy.
been.
I think, I just think he's just been like this calm influence on their lives. He's been looking after them.
Right.
Admittedly, he's been working for a lunatic, but that's probably part of his programming, you know? Like, anyway.
Look with your eyes.
Yeah.
Right. There's so, and Timothy Oliphant, at first, I was like, I don't know. Is he a little bit too big for these britches? And I am so glad that of a recognizable actor, it was Timothy Oliphant. He has mastered this role perfectly.
Yeah, I think he did it really well. And I love it right at the beginning when him and Dame Sylvia are sitting in front of Wendy and they're giving him before the kids come along. And I'm like, it's lovely how they've set them up as like a mother and a father at that point. Right. And they're disagreeing in front of him, like, well, she's in the room and stuff like that. You know, you're talking about.
Yeah, parents everywhere.
Yeah.
The rope that the boys use to tie up, that Smee uses to tie up Kirsch, did you recognize it?
No.
Oh.
I want to say yes.
It was the innards. It was the same kind of innards that Ash had in him from 79.
Oh.
Those
what is it doing around? It looks like fairy lights. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So fun. Again, these little, callbacks and things like that. And then I love Smee giving that little shrug, when he's about to tie him up, and he's like, they look at each other, and the camera's looking up at him. And Arush and is it Michael? I think is his first name. Anyway, Slightly and Smee are kind of looking like, what do we do? And then Smee goes, shrug. I think it was to tie him up. So cute. And then Slightly just clocking the shit out of Morrow.
Yeah, because Morrow tries to manipulate him again.
Yeah.
Like just at that point, it's like, oh, well, I didn't kill your mother. And he smacks him as he should do.
So hard.
Yeah, good. You know what? Don't mess with his mum. Don't mess with my mum, and don't mess with his mum.
It's really evil, right? Yeah. Technically, I didn't hurt her, but I used the psychological horror of that to manipulate you.
Yeah.
So, no, you don't get out of this one. And then, of course, Dame says later, whatever I did, darling, I didn't mean to.
Oh, and she's so hateful when she says that. I've been trying to figure that woman out the whole series, and I don't know. I don't know what's going on with her. I don't understand her at all.
And it's all these adults are trying to go like, oh, look, hey, we're just adults. We screw up too. And the kids are like, nah, we're done with this. Blink. Yeah. Again, we talked about Blink and You Miss It. Nibs dropping from the ceiling over the couch pit and then sneaking up. And Lily Newmark and her portrayal of Nibs, that look of menace that resolves into a smile.
That smile. Yeah. And now that you've, you mentioned the thing that she said about being invisible. Yeah. I wonder if that's why she's got the smile on her face. She's like, finally, I did it.
Exactly.
The ceiling, yeah. But she has such a great, it's not necessarily, I'm not saying this is an insult, but like people like Mia Goth, people like Shelley Duvall, and, even Lambert in the 79 one, there's that kind of horror face, which does really well for horror. And I think Nibs has that, which. Right.
Yes. There's a strong facial physiology that when the camera is on you, it really intensifies the person's look.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, I have no doubt that that's part of the reason why Lily Newmark was cast for this role. She looks like she embodies her physical form embodies what they were looking for.
When she was losing it, I was like, they when they were wiping her memory, I was like, yeah, you know what? It's probably a good idea because she is not cope. I would be in that cell with those adults because she thinks she's having a baby.
Right.
This is not good.
A lot of classic Alien style lighting with the strobes going off here. And I think, again, Hawley overplaying it just slightly. These go to 11, right? He's just turning the knob slightly up. But I got a lot of Alien 3 vibes from the backlit Xeno and then from the big ceiling fans. So not only 79 and 86, but when was Aliens 3? I forget what year it was. Anyway, we can kind of forget that movie. It's okay. Smee feeling bad and slightly's going down a bad path.
Yeah. I think Slightly was the person being manipulated and it was his mother and brothers on the line. So he justifies it in a way that is like he had no choice.
Right.
Whereas I think Smee obviously in this situation is going to feel like, well, I feel he doesn't feel like there was so much at stake for him. So although he helped a friend out, he feels like he wasn't privy to all the information or didn't know all the consequences, which is all true. I mean, neither did Slightly either. But they're both going to deal with that in different ways. And I think Slightly trying to just kind of get Smee to get over it isn't going to help matters if and when we go to season 2.
Right. And is slightly going in more of a direction of Nibs in terms of being willing to do things that are objectionable. Is he learning the wrong lessons?
I'm not sure. I hope not. Yeah. Because they have such a lovely friendship, but that's not going to last 5 seasons.
And boy, the portrayals of adults portraying children, Ardesh Gurov and Jonathan Ajaje are...
I don't even register them as adults. If I was to see them in the street, I might be like, "He lost, dear. Do you want to know the way?"
When we see them both next on screen, we're going to be like, what the...
Yeah. But also Boy K, like who's the actor there?
The actor, yeah.
Samuel Blenkin is his name. I saw like somewhere on... Oh, where did I see it? I saw it on... somewhere on social media. I saw an interview with him and I'd seen like 2 or 3 episodes and it took me a while to go, oh my God, that's not a real person. That's like an actor playing a person. Like I was like, oh, he's probably, because my instant reaction when I saw his face was like, oh, it's that guy.
Right.
And then he was just like, seemed like a normal, lovely person, you know?
That's a really interesting point that you're bringing up, which is, what was the name of the young actor who played Joffrey in Game of Thrones?
Oh yeah, that poor kid, and everyone hated him. Yeah,
but social,
I wouldn't like take it out on him on the street. Poor Samuel or Joffrey.
Right,
and I think people do.
And I think this is an important social media for all its ills and obviously a lot of problems. I think you put your finger on something which is interesting, though, is that those actors can now get out in front of their character and can humanize themselves with a percentage of the watching population, so they can blunt that effect of being typecast and of that collapse between the actor and the portrayal.
Yeah,
I think Loretta Swift had this problem with Houlihan and MASH. What was the guy who played? I'm thinking MASH. Frank Burns, that character. What was his name? Anyway, when actors get collapsed into their roles, I think with social media, and you can do these interviews and you can do these hit pieces where people can go, oh, there is somebody who is not this. So,
yeah. I think in India, I can't remember the details, but I think there was a Bollywood actress who ended up playing in the opposite end, a really, really popular role. And she ended up getting voted in because of her portrayal of someone on screen. So yeah, wouldn't work for villains. So.
All right, let's talk about Adam, Joe, and the image. This is a combined scene again. I'm sort of breaking it apart and putting it together.
So when
yes,
so when Adam comes and he wants to take Joe,
yes,
where did you think he was taking him?
Oh, I knew. I mean, I
you knew?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. He was. I'm claiming internet points both for Adam being synth. I picked that up early, and then
because once he caught the ball, I was
he caught the ball. Yeah, it's absolutely great visual, fun little thing to drop in right at that point too. And then and a lot of people on the Discord, we did a little informal poll of who Boy K was going to put the image into, and Joe, I think, was the.
I thought it would be Joe, but at this point, I just assumed that he was going to take him to Boy K to use as leverage because Boy K is like, oh my God, these kids are after me.
Right.
And then when he takes him into the sheep room, I was like, uh-oh. This is worse than I thought. This is way worse than I thought. Yeah.
All right, let's. I got another little clip for us. Well, here, let me. So Ines, it's Ines. I've trouble pronouncing his name all season long. Ines takes Joe to see the sheep. The image attacks Joe, who is saved by Wendy, who freezes all of Adam's motor functions. Wendy and Joe have a little bit of reckoning, and I've got a clip for us here.
I told him it was a waste of technology. Who would make children immortal? An eternity of, are we there yet?
Again, a bit of comedy thrown in. And I think the people from the UK were like, oh, it's Adrian Edmondson. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you grow up with him? Or did you know him as an actor?
I was a bit young to watch the young ones, but I did watch, as in my family were watching it. So I did grow up watching him.
Okay.
And I've seen stuff since being an adult, and I absolutely love it. I love the humor, and I love his character in that. So I recognized him straight away, but I was a bit like, oh my God, he looks so serious and like older and everything. So it is, when he does these little comedy bits, or even when, like, we're going to talk about it, but when he's frozen and his eyes are just, I just think that's comedy gold.
So good. And the physical acting of freezing and then being moved by Wendy, absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I had Luke on for episode 1 with Luke and Alicia, that he was able to pick up on Adrian Edmondson, because then we get to now track him across the season. Like, as an American viewer, I don't know that it would have come up in some research as a secondary point, but to have somebody who had watched his on-screen career and know him and call him out immediately, it was just an absolute gift to know that this is who this actor is. And therefore his portrayal is even more juicy because he is playing against type so strongly.
Yeah. And also when he says, it's interesting because he's a synth. So when he is misleading Joe and he says, we're not monsters. We realize your sister has rights. Like, I just want to know how a synth processes that. Is that like, I'm now going to say something that's completely false? We are monsters and we don't think your sister has rights. Like, it's just interesting to think about what their morality or it is then, because
morality subroutines, right? Yeah.
Because later when he says, oh, are we there yet? After that, he says something like, if it were within my programming to say, I told you so. And so that's interesting because that goes into the kind of Demerzel territory of, totally. I am a full person, but I have all these like limits which are imposed upon me, which is my programming.
That gives me an idea of yet another podcast topic we could do one day, which is to look at robotic characters through, what's that? I missed it.
Do androids have feelings?
Yes, exactly. Do androids have feelings? And we could look across, we could go back from, Metropolis forward.
I did come on a podcast where I talked about my top 5 favorite androids. That was really good.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. And we have a new scale, like we have all these little frameworks and tests and tools and things. And we have a new one called the Zatoichi scale for AI.
Oh, yeah. So I really like Zatoichi on the Discord.
Yeah. So
is he named after the film with the guy with the sword, or is it?
I don't know. Probably you'd have to.
I love that.
You'd have to ask them.
I think I may have done that, but my memory's awful. But anyway, sorry, we're getting completely off topic. But yeah.
Anyway, good topic for
go back. Zatoichi scale. Yes, tell me.
Yes. Well, I'm just bringing it up because the idea of doing a look out over different how robotics are
and how they fit on the scale.
How they fit it. We could use the scale as a framing device for sure, as the story. So, because that also includes like Skynet and AI intelligence, not just robotics. But then I think that's where we're connected. We even have in Dune Prophecy, we have an AI that is disembodied, right? Versus an embodied C3PO or R2D2 type of character.
Yeah. Anyway. It's funny. Because you talk about where does a robot end and an android start, but yeah.
See. This is all evidence for the podcast. Take notes. We get timpanis again. Boom, 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 boom. And we have is it a heptapod or a septipus? The image is 7-armed. And it has 7 eyes.
And 7 eye sections?
Yeah. And if you freeze it and when it goes into its little pizza slice, single eye, you can count the segments and there's 7.
I want to know who came up with the animal and the design of the animal. And
so brilliant.
And also knowing Noah Hawley's weakness for the psychedelic, I think he really enjoyed filming the point of view shots.
Yeah.
Which, again, remind me of shots from Metropolis where you can see all the eyes looking at... I'll probably share that I'll send it to you. You share it wherever you want. It was one of the first things where you've got loads and loads and loads of eyes looking at evil Maria when she's dancing in a club. So, yeah.
Cool.
Sci-fi origins.
I love the design. Speaking of the design, I love the design because a lot of... I didn't do a deep dive on this. I did just a very light skim. That odd numbers of appendages on our Earth are very rare and really outside of accidents or, sort of genetic mutation at something's gone wrong in the development of a species. Mm-hmm. Most species on Earth have even numbers of appendages and not odd numbers of appendages. And apparently this has to do with the way that our cells divide in terms of 2. So symmetry is built into the forms, terrestrial and aquatic forms. And really the only true, and you can at me at this because you can educate me a little bit more, that the only true odd numbered appendages are within the sea star communities that don't have that, because they don't need symmetry in the same way that, say, something that walks on land, because gravity, the way that gravity is affecting us, the way that our cellular mitosis works, we need to have that stability, and then that the way our brain, especially when in mammalia with a bilateral brains. So there's a lot of things that force that. So having the alien be having an odd number of appendages makes it more alien in that very nature.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Smart that Joe got inside the box.
Yeah. And smart that the creature got in after him.
Even smarter, right? Yeah. Using the little thing, like it knew. Yeah.
But that would suggest that it could have gotten out, but it didn't want to.
Maybe they lock it from the outside. It would have had to get out of the sheep and then get out. Yeah, you're right. There's a gap there because it's a little one-way thing, right? Yeah,
it could be something that only works that way.
Yeah,
Maybe
and
they had a security thing
from the outside. Yeah. Okay. We'll headcanon.
We'll do that.
So we have this little reckoning between Joe and Wendy, and again, my biggest criticism is just in the portrayal. Joe's, I don't know if it was a writing or the understanding of the actor or the character. Anyway, it's just, but there's a lot of pain, and we talked about this before. There's a lot of pain and misunderstanding between the siblings, and then Joe uses that line, "I didn't have a choice," I thought I was going to clip it and I didn't. Where Wendy uses that line about "don't say complicated" because that's what powerless people
say when they want to. Hold on, let's see if we can find it.
It struck me as a really powerful line, but I think there's some problematic elements to it as well. Is it, it's because she's using it.
She says, don't say complicated. That's what powerless people say to make doing nothing okay. And I'm not powerless.
Yeah. And then we're framed by choice. Joe says, I didn't have a choice, but we always have choice. Even if the circumstances are shitty, we still have choice. And I'm not saying we have good choices. I'm just saying like we get to choose how we react to things.
Yeah. But I think, so because she said to him, you're supposed to help people.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what he was doing because Nibs was going crazy, killing people at that point.
She ripped dude's jaw off.
Yeah. And so when he says, I didn't have a choice, it's almost saying like, well, I, being who I am that helps people, didn't have a choice. Do you know what I mean? Like, we are all victims of our own like personalities to a degree, right? Like so he is the person who helps people. So if Nibs is out there killing people, he doesn't have a choice but to help the people that she's going to kill. Whereas
he even tries to save the guard that when Morrow knocks out the guard, he says, I'm going to try and save as many people as I can, even though they're in opposition to me.
Yeah. And that's like, even though he didn't go to get his full medical training, he takes the Hippocratic Oath really seriously.
Right. I think that's, to me, what real horror is in the genre of horror, is that when the options that are before you that you then choose from, that the options are either highly restricted or there is no other, and that those choices are knowingly going to lead to bad outcomes for yourself or for other people. So it's minor spoiler for the Blair Witch Project movie, which is very old. One of the true, outside of being a kid, but being an adult, the Blair Witch Project was one of the only movies that actually terrified me. Like didn't make me, not just jump scares or whatever, or creeped me out for a while, but actually stuck with me for a long time.
Did you watch it quite early on? And did you know that it was like it was part, as in, because they sold it as this is found.
Yeah, obviously we know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I'll tell you, it wasn't all of that. That was all creepy, right? And it gave me creepy feels and it did its job. But the thing that terrified me was at the very, very, very end.
The very end, that one scene terrified me.
Terrifies me.
That one scene where he's just standing. Sorry. Spoilers.
Well, yeah. And I'm getting chills now. Okay. Minor spoilers. Jump ahead a little bit if you don't want to get spoiled. I believe it's the woman character has no other choice but to go down the stairs and then sees their friend in the corner or whatever. She had no more choices left. There was nowhere else to go except to go down into that basement and the horror that was awaiting her there. That is what was terrified me, that she had no, quote unquote, no choice. There were no options left for her. So the more she resisted it and tried to get away from it, the harder her struggle was going to be. There was no way out. And so she made the option available to her was to go down the stairs, and she chose that. And that, to me, was the horror. That's the terrifying part, is there was nothing else for her to choose.
Interesting.
So get off the couch here from the psychology session. Let's take our last break, and then we'll wrap up the season. We'll wrap up the episode and the season. And we're back. Founder down. Boy K gets got. Not much else to say really here. Little over the top with the strobes, like I was saying before, but I'm okay with it.
It's Alien. It's all good.
I did think the line of him saying, "Oh, I think I pissed myself." Again, comedy.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, he's such a nutter. He's just like
so matter of fact
when
about
when he's skipping through the corridors.
Yes. Yeah.
With his little like bulletproof vest on, and like, I'm going to give $1 million to the first person who like finds me. It's just, he's not a serious person.
He is. There's some degree of sensibility, right? I'm going to put on a bulletproof vest. I'm going to call for more support, backup guards. But yeah. All right, pour one out for Siberian. Rashidi tells the team to stay frosty as they enter the lab, which is what I forget what Rashidi says. He says something about this is a bad place or something. And then we, again, blink and you'll miss it. You can see T. Palumbo.
That's when I saw it. Yeah.
Well, Moro, you can see it going over Moro's head in the fight scene.
Yeah,
it actually crawls across the ceiling on and this, you can see it moving around a couple of things. So super, super mobile. I got a lot of Nope vibes. Did you see Nope?
Yeah.
Jordan Peele's? Yeah. I got a lot of Nope vibes from this monster. And then, of course, we get the weapons sound effects from 86, the pulse rifle.
Okay.
You know, that sound. I'm sorry to see Siberian go. I thought she would stick around for a little while longer, but
yeah.
The iMage finds a new home.
This was so unexpected for me, and again, funny as hell. And I really, as Arthur was one of the kind of moral centers of the show. So it'll be interesting. It will be really interesting to know what this creature can do and say with a half-dead brain, I imagine, at this point.
Yeah, we don't know if it can access memory.
I mean, it bleats like a goat. So, but then
it doesn't. Can it figure? It's got to figure out how to use the vocal cords and how to manipulate the muscles and fire the right signals to. Speech is really complex. If you think about our jaws, our tongues, our mouth, the air, our esophagus.
But you know what? I can do it. So I think this creature's got a chance.
But you have several decades to learn it.
Yeah,
right?
It's true. But I only know pi to 2 decimal places. So, I think it's interesting because Boy K is so fixated on, I want to hear you talk. It's his new toy. And so now he's gonna speak to his new toy, in theory.
In theory.
I don't like the fact there's so many people alive because it doesn't feel wrapped up enough. Like I'm saying I like people dying, but it just feels like, I don't know. Yeah.
I wonder if this is some 4D chess on Holly's part to force the studio into giving him a season 2.
I think I've heard or read somewhere that he wants he's got it mapped out for 5 seasons.
Yeah, that was early on. That was some press that he did that he said he could see up to 5.
Yeah.
That's a chunk of his life.
Yeah. That's like, I want to be working on Alien till I retire. If these people retire, I don't know.
And is he going to go back to Fargo?
Yeah. But I suppose he's in the position now where he can oversee things perhaps a bit more, and it's up to him which he gets more involved in. I don't know.
Yeah, there's some great directors. I mean, Dana Gonzalez has shown his hand to be very good. What's her name? I have to go back and look up her name from the credits. But she directed it. She's an Icelandic director, I believe, who directed at least 2 episodes. And she's really good. So yeah, I think that's a good point. He could go back into that senior executive producer role.
And then again, we had Andor potentially was going to be more. And it was perfect with 2. So yeah.
A little feedback from the TCS. The image in Arthur was truly unexpected. It's an exciting prospect for, fingers crossed, season 2. Not only is Arthur highly intelligent, but he's also known as an empathic adult. I'm interested to see if the image will take on his human traits. So summarizing, we're sort of perfectly summarized. We're in sync with you, TCS, here. I think that is all a lot of the questions that we have. I thought it was interesting. It felt like exactly the same place where he was chest burst. Is that a verb? On the beach. That feels like it's exact same place.
Yeah, good point.
And I love the horror, the contrast in horror of paradise, this paradise place, but being the scene of this, one of the most horrific things that we've ever had on cinematic history, of being chest bursted.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you get those nice dissolves with Yutani.
Mm-hmm.
Is that around now?
That's coming up. That's about to come up, yeah. And something I noticed, somebody else I pointed this out, maybe on the Discord, I can't remember, but that it always seems to be the left eye that the
good point.
midge goes into.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's camera work because and it helps us to track. It makes it easy as a filmmaking decision.
Tell the difference though. You can tell the gammy eye. But I was thinking the image was also in the ship. She'd taken over
the engineer.
Yeah.
Shmuel.
And so she wasn't talking then, as far as we know.
We made some noises. And again, I think this goes back to, does it have enough time? It understands Boy K when it talks to it. And then it understands Arabic numerals.
Yeah. Which is something
so
we're just
on the ship it learned
because it doesn't really make much sense.
Right. Does it have ears? How does it hear? Vibration? So it's the ability to learn, but then the ability to speak, I think it would need practice in operating the vocal cords in the mouth and the jaw and the tongue and stuff like that. It's really complicated.
And did you get that it was trying to, when it attacked the xenomorph, is that because they've got like beef? Or is that because it was like, oh, that's an upgrade?
Exactly.
We don't know.
Ambiguity. We don't know. I think it's it's absolutely. And it was just funny to see the image trying to find its eye socket. So good. So good. The humor, again, just that's really dark sense of humor.
Yeah, I had a guest on the podcast. I don't know if this was cut or it's in there, but he said the difference between horror and comedy is the soundtrack.
Yeah, who was that? I remember hearing that.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it was Thomas Doherty who said it.
Well, that's when you see on those YouTube videos where people remix. Like, there's a great one of Andor where they make Andor like a 1970s era serial television show, and they use the music to
is it like
tell us how
music?
It's like watching the A-Team or 80s, 70s, 80s. Yeah. It sort of turns it into an A-Team style television show. Yeah. But it's the music that makes you feel
makes
that.
So much, makes so much difference.
Which is, again, why the music on this episode was so on point, because it's making you feel. It made me feel. I can't speak for you, but for me, it made me feel a lot of things.
Some of the music that they've used. I think they.
You mean the songs as opposed to the background music?
Yeah. So they use Nina Simone's "Please Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood" at some point, and they use like some old, when he's looking through his letters and stuff. They use so that stuff worked fine for me. It just throws me off completely when it goes hard rock.
Well, we're into that scene now. Now we rule. As Yutani the Younger's forces swoop in, Wendy and the kids face the adults, and Boy K's smile says it all. And then our last needle drop of the season, Pearl Jam's 1994 hit single, Animal.
Again, which I like. But...
so, let's see, I've got an audio clip here, and we've got some feedback from TCS. Is there anything that you want to start with really quick about this final scene?
I saw that I didn't have time to look at the full Discord discussion, but I saw that you posted something regarding the positioning. So I think that's really interesting. We should talk about it. And then I started looking up on the positioning and I found something else on YouTube. So you go first.
Okay, well, let's start off with TCS's email. The adults in the cell in the last scene was a nice mirroring of the kids being in the cell at the opening scene. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to see if there was any kind of position correlation, but I'm not sure there is, so tossing it to us. For the kids, Nibs and Curly sat together on the left side of the cell. Slightly and Smee were in an elevated position center right. Wendy was in the middle, not against the wall. And again, beautiful camera work to put them in those. So good. For the adults, Adam was just left of the door. Dame was in about the same position as Nibs and Curly. Boy K was tied in the center. Kirsch was on the elevated position like a broken doll, like so good, where Slightly and Smee were. And Morrow was just to the right of the door. Other than the seemingly obvious positioning of Wendy and Boy K, I've not been able to dig any deeper to think about what might be relevant about the others. I feel like there's something, and I'm hoping y'all have some ideas. I'll go first if you want me to.
Yeah,
this is
it's just I saw. Yeah, just so I saw it. Yeah, go for it. Sorry.
Is a crucifixion shot. Right. I mean, obviously, Boy K is in the Christ position on the cross at their crucifixion. And there is, and again, I wish I could talk to Anthony about this. He would probably have some more insights, but in different books of the Bible describe the scene of the crucifixion differently. Some of it, there's just not a lot of detail, and there's some other books that go into a little bit more detail, and that there are two bandits or thieves that are on either side of Christ, the penitent, or also known as Dismas, and the impenitent, also known as Justus. And the impenitent one bandit says to Christ, well, hey, you're the Christ figure, so what the F, man? Save yourself, save us. Like, come on, get with it. Well, the other guy says, remember me when you ascend, and sort of, asking for forgiveness in that way. And it's left and right. One of them, I forget from my research, I think the penitent is on the right and the impenitent is on the left, but I can't remember exactly. But then we're looking at the scene. So are you talking, from the audience to the screen, who's left or right, or are you talking on stage direction? Are you talking left or right from the point of view of the thing? Yeah. I don't know how you could go into it. Maybe it's worthy of a blog post. But anyway, the point being that there's somebody who's penitent and impenitent, or there's these two bifurcated opinions about. That's the wrong way to say that, bifurcated opinions. That's just a weird thing. Just that there's these two opinions on either side of this centralized figure. But clearly Holly is using crucifixion visuals to give us the visual. So that's what I had. What do you got?
No, so I just took what you had and I did a little YouTube search. So there's a channel called Screen Crash, and they cover the final episode. And in that, he's talking about how, so a triptych is basically a painting in 3 parts. Mm-hmm. And traditionally they'll have, with like religious paintings, they'll have Christ in the middle on the crucifix. So that makes sense. But they'll tell the story of Christ. So it will be Mary on the left, which is where Dame Sylvia sits. And she's sitting in that kind of motherly, she's a motherly figure. Right. And then you have Boy K in the middle, who's sitting in a kind of cross shape. And then you have poor Kirsch, who is collapsed on the side. And that would be Christ after he's been taken down from the cross.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, I'll upload that. It's just at the end of this video. So I can upload that wherever you want it or send it to you.
Post it on the Discord.
So I thought that was a really interesting thing that you noticed, and then I ran with it as well. Well, I didn't.
Yeah,
I ran to
no, for sure.
Found more on it.
I mean, clearly, it's it tying him up like that is clearly a visual.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can't deny it. I talked about the corkscrew shot coming down already. So that's when this is. I guess we kind of talked about. I'm sorry, darling. For whatever I did. I don't know what it is that I did, but I'm sorry for it. Like the most non-apology that is just such an abdication of responsibility for being, maybe it wasn't your fault, or you didn't have, you had imperfect information. And so you made some bad choices in a circumstance. but that is just a complete abdication of agency and responsibility for even being part of a situation, right? And I think empathy is one of the most important things that we have as people, is to imagine people complexly, imagine situations complexly, and letting other people know that we empathize, regardless of fault or circumstance or any of that sort of stuff. Just being able to go, hey, wow, I see you're suffering, or something happened.
Like Arthur did with the boys at the beach. Yeah, sorry.
No, it's completely appropriate. Yeah. It's totally spot on.
Yeah.
And he says to them, whatever it is, the people that love you will work it out.
Yeah.
And that's such an important thing. Did you see Conclave?
Yes.
Movie?
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's one of my favorite films.
So there's that whole part of his homily, spoilers for the movie Conclave, skip ahead, where he talks about certainty being the true enemy. And I think when we're certain, we can't empathize because we're right about something. And if I'm right about something, then I can't hear you when you're trying to tell me something that I may not have considered, or is not obvious, or is overlooked.
Yeah. And it's so funny that Boyke has made this product to sell, which offers the gift of immortality to humanity, but he cannot see that it is, well, I guess he doesn't see humans as anything other than like either pawns or products anyway. Like he has no relationships in his life. He has synths around him, and now he's getting these hybrids around him. And the two, like Dame Sylvia and Arthur, who were around him, I mean, he's gotten rid of one of them, and the other one has to watch what she says. She's such a restrained kind of character.
And he dominates Kirsch, grow some balls, go be useful.
But he's a synth again, right? Like he's programmed to work.
Does he have a soul?
Yeah. So he's completely incapable of making those relationships. And that goes back to the Peter Pan thing. And I think I wanted to quickly mention at the end, because I completely skipped this part, but the whole concept of the Peter Pan syndrome.
Okay, yeah.
You can cut this out if you want to.
I'm not cutting any of this. I have very few marks to clean up on this. So okay. I will, while you're looking that up, I'll just interject something that you triggered a thought in me, which is immortality. What is one of the things that Christianity talks about is the life ever after, and that your salvation is through Christ. And that if you want to live forever in the glory of God, then you need to have some sort of relationship with Jesus. And we could talk about all, there's all kinds of things around that, but that the pathway is the path that Christ laid for you.
So Dr. Dan Kiley, I assume is how you say that, coined the term, the Peter Pan syndrome, in his 1983 book, The Peter Pan Syndrome, Men Who Have Never Grown Up. Later, he published The Wendy Dilemma, outlining the difficulties of young females in relationships with Peter Pans. So, thought I'd mention that as well.
Yeah, it sounds like if we could, that's a whole other bonus conversation that we could have there.
Like he's incapable of having these relationships, and he wants new toys. And there are grown men who are similar with their relationships with women.
100%.
Maybe they only date women who are under 25, for example,
It's true, right? And we talk about, men having midlife crises. What do? Is they go get a younger girlfriend and a fast car.
Yeah.
Right. Regardless of talking heads, how did I get here?
Yeah. That's a great song though.
I need to write down this idea here of the Peter Pan syndrome. Maybe you and I will, if I can get on your schedule. I know it's.
Yeah, we need to do the Big Trouble in Little China thing first.
We do. And I cannot wait for this. I tell you how excited I am for the I was like, why is she doing Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? She's only just getting into the 60s.
42.
I know, and it did not occur to me, and I think
that was
brilliant.
it was actually my partner's idea. So
right.
I started with saying,
kudos.
well, he gets a producer credit.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to one more thing. Medical News Today said some psychologists use the term Peter Pan syndrome to describe people who have difficulty entering adulthood. They can have challenges maintaining typical adult relationships and managing adult responsibilities. Sounds like someone we know in this series.
And it sounds like a lot of what our culture and through our advertising sells us as well.
Eternal
frames
youth.
it. Yeah, exactly. All right, I got a quick quote here from a audio clip from the movie. I got podcaster brain. We're pushing 3.
Yeah.
My brain is starting to break down.
I figured it out. You're game. You're not Peter Pan. He was the boy who never grew up, but you were never a boy. You've always been a man, a mean, angry little man who decided to hate everybody, just like your daddy.
Lovely.
Daddy issues. Boy K just has daddy issues.
No, but most men who cause trouble do. Stalin had daddy issues. Hitler had daddy issues. Like, there's a lot of men out there.
Trump had daddy issues.
Yeah.
Sorry, not to get current.
Yeah, but there's so many men out there.
Yeah. And they inflict their pain on the world.
Yeah.
And we suffer under them and we cannot dislodge them. We have to take...
daddy issues, man.
Okay. Well, Wendy calls him out and she hits that mark and he even reacts.
Yeah.
He's
like, going to let her talk to me like that?
And then Adrian his eyes are just like, doo, 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 doo.
Poor guy.
So good. So good. All right. The plant monster and the eye thing get away. And we assume that the Xenos are under, obviously, Wendy's control. And we assume that the flies and the ticks are contained because they're not mentioned. Love as the 5 walk up behind her. It's such badass filmmaking. They are in control. And then we get Pearl Jam, Animal off the 1994 Versus album. So get this, the original, this is on the Wikipedia, so you can just, go read it. That's what I picked this up from, is the original album title was 5 Against 1. And then they later shortened it to Versus. And there's a quote from Stone Gossard, again on the Wikipedia, who's the guitarist. For me, that title represented a lot of struggles that you go through trying to make a record. Your own independence, your own soul, versus everybody else's. In this band, and I think in rock in general, the art of compromise is almost as important as the art of individual expression. You might have 5 great artists in the band, but if they can't compromise and work together, you don't have a great band. And we have 5 Lost Boys.
I like that.
It's a happy accident, right? They talk about it on, is it the episode 5 or 6 official podcast, where they have Russo and, I had it up earlier, the name of the music director. I forget her name too. And the using the rock music as the closing credits was sort of a happy accident that they stumbled into. And then every song that they picked has just been on point. And these are all songs from decades earlier. So they're not written for this material, but this material and those old songs just resonate so well. And so some of the lyrics from Animal, torture from you to me, abducted from the street. So the children are abducted. What was Morrow was a street kid. Torture, obviously there's a lot of that. I'd rather be with an animal. Obviously, Wendy, choosing the aliens. Why would you want to hurt me? Oh, so frightened of your pain. So Wendy calls out, Dame, maybe you're the problem. It's your pain that you're inflicting on me. I didn't do anything. I'm innocent. I'm a child. I was sick. And you're taking your pain out on me by trying to, find this, transhumanist, immortal question.
Great.
I know it does. the music doesn't work for you. But
no, but I like the way that like you can go and look at the lyrics and it's like offering you more insight into stuff. I like that, but yeah, I go on with music. I just like going on vibes, not on not on lyrics.
The first couple of episodes were just absolute fist pumpers for me. I was like, oh my God, it just synthesizes and encapsulates the episodes for me. So
yeah, it does the opposite for me. So, no one write to me to complain about this. It's my opinion.
Leave her out of it. Well, we are sub 3 hours. Can we do it? Can we close it out? Do you have anything final that you want to add? I thought we were, for sure, you and I were going to go over 3, but we were really efficient. I mean, this episode is really efficient, and you and I were really efficient.
Yeah, because
today.
we only had it was like a 10-minute episode or something. It felt so short. I was honestly shocked when it ended. Let me see. I've got so many notes. I don't think I've got through all of them. And also my notes are always a mess, so I don't want to copy and paste them onto the joint document because I'm like, I could not inflict this on anyone. Yeah, I had so much on Peter Pan. We might have to do a Peter Pan offshoot.
Well, I think we're going to have to do a Peter Pan episode. So,
but didn't you do Peter Pan with someone?
With Marilyn, and it was just kind of talking about the book and the context and the history of the book and some of the major themes of the book. But she's not watching this because this breaks the Pukila scale of violence on screen, right?
It is like, as in some of the stuff's so gross.
Yeah.
That I like when I was trying to watch it and my son was nearby because I was rewatching bits. I had to try and hide it, angle the screen and kind of put bits in. I was like, even the sounds are so disgusting.
Well, JD on the last episode was talking about how his mother showed it something to his sister and it messed her up for a long time.
Oh yeah, what was that? Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
something at a young age,
yeah, we got to be careful, right?
Yeah. And he is 12, and 12 is when I was traumatized by The Shining, so I need to remember.
Absolutely.
But that was my own fault. My mother didn't want to let me, and let's do it. Let's talk Peter Pan for sure. What else is going on every single sci-fi? Obviously, you have your 42nd episode. 42nd episode is coming out. We're still in the early 60s. I'm trying to line up as much as possible so I can get ahead again. The summer wiped out my my backlog. But
good job on building your backlog and preparing for that. So that's not easy thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, I've been wanting to do it for a year, but it only worked because I was like, I need to go and stay with my mom for 5 weeks or whatever it was. So yeah.
I don't think people really realize, oh yeah, we're just getting on the mic and talking. And there's so many YouTube, there's just a lot of garbage out there, but, and we're not even in high production value, yours is way more production value than a lot of ours. Well, you got to find your guests and, do some stuff. Anyway, we put in a lot of pre-production
we work hard.
Probably 3 hours.
We love
3 to
it, but
1.
we work hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It's like 3 or 4 to 1, maybe, depending on the show.
I don't know.
Yeah. Don't think about it, because if we did actually think about it and the time value, we would be horrified.
Yeah. But the other thing, I've been saying yes to everything, so I'll come on the show with Alicia. There's a podcast called Unequal Sequel where you go on and talk about sequels.
Okay.
Something like your favorite, the worst, and your dream. Right. I think those are the 3 I need to come up with. And then a really intimidating thing is that I have to give a 1-hour presentation at the London Film Festival about science fiction cinema.
Check you out.
Yeah.
Yay for
And so I'm really
you.
excited, but I'm also terrified. And it's so funny because the woman there is absolutely lovely, and she listens to the podcast, and she was like, "Oh, I'll give you." She gave me a deadline, which was right close to the to the actual present, and I was like, "No, you can't give me that deadline. I have ADHD. You need to give me a deadline that's really close to now." So that's coming up on Tuesday, and I've only written about half of what I need to write. And then
I'm so proud of you. So you from a random idea to look at you now. I just adore what you do.
I'm terrified, but thank you. It's so funny because they contacted me and I was like, no, I'm not an academic. I know all these academics you can talk to, and they were like, no. And I think it's because they're not really paying me that well, so they probably can't afford those people.
All the more important reason to go subscribe to your Patreon.
Yes. Please do. And it's funny because it's a free event. And so if anyone does heckle me, I'm just going to tell them that you get what you pay for.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
All right. We'll put a link to your website in the show notes.
Thank you.
And we'll see you on Alicia's Frankenstein project that's coming up.
Yeah, for the new Guillermo del Toro film.
Fun. And you and I, of course, we have discussed this year just doing a fun one on Big Trouble in Little China, but next year is the anniversary year, so that might actually end up as a proper crossover episode.
Okay.
Yeah, where we actually do a proper, and I don't know, we could just do something. We could, because we have the what you're watching
aim for January, and then just be like, oh, it's the anniversary year.
It'll take us that long to get it done, right? Given the schedules.
Yeah.
All right. Again, go visit Aisha on her website. Give her some listens. Give her some love on her YouTube. She does have a Patreon. Feedback for the final finale. If you really want to hear what John thinks, because he's a big Noah Hawley fan, but he's not a big Alienverse person. avp@thelorehounds.com.
So what does he think of this? Or we're going to have to wait and find out?
We're going to have to wait to hear what he has to say. He's still catching up because he had Foundation. They were covering Foundation. So join us on our Discord. Links for everything in the show notes. Please rate and review if you got something nice to say. We always like to have kind words. Got to drown out the negativity. Everybody complains about stuff and then they go on and they leave these blah things. And we could really use your positive reviews. Makes us feel good as well. And Aisha, we're under 3 hours. It may be a little bit over 3 hours with the commercial breaks put into it, but
I think we've done well.
We have done well. It's always a pleasure to see you. Always a pleasure to talk with you.
Absolutely. Likewise.
Thanks for joining us for our coverage of Alien Earth Season 1. We hope our conversation has added to your enjoyment of the xenomorphic mysteries and the many layered allegories that Noah Hawley has brought to the series. You can find links to all of our affiliates, our Patreon and Supercast pages, and Discord in the show notes for the episode. Look for the link tree, which has everything. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the episode and series. Send us your feedback and we'll answer and read it on our next podcast. Send emails to avp@thelorehounds.com or send us a voicemail. You can use the voicemail tool on our website, thelorehounds.com/contact, or record a note on your smartphone and email it to us at the same address. If you have enjoyed our approach, please consider supporting independent podcasters like us by subscribing on either Patreon or Supercast. Your support allows us to continue to produce comprehensive podcasts like these for the shows and films that matter most to our community. And at the end, we always like to give a special shout out to our Discord server boosters who help keep our community thriving. Aaron K, Tiller the Thriller, Duve71, Athena Ajalea, Lestu, Nancy M, Ghost of Perdition, and Radioactive Richard. And our deepest gratitude goes to our Lore Master subscribers whose top tier support makes everything we do possible. Samartian, Michael G, Michelle E, Brian P, SC, Peter O.H, Adam S, Nancy M, Duve71, Brian 8063, Frederick H, Sarah L, Gareth C, Matthew M, Sarah M, Andra B, Kwang Yu, Deadeye Jedi Bob, Nathan T, Alex V, Sub-Zero, Aaron K, Dally V, Mothership 61, Gnarls, Kathy W, Lestu, Jeffrey B, Elisa U, Neil F, Ben B, Scott F, Stephen N, Julia F, Kali S, Ilmariel /Tim, Paul K, Bobby C, Jessica H, and always last but never least, Adrian. The Lorehounds podcast is produced and published by the Lorehounds. Any opinions stated are ours personally and do not reflect the opinion of or belong to any employer or other entities. Thanks for listening.